Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sorry about the delay. I was doing something and then it all went wrong. I was cleaning the kitchen and then I dropped some, it sounds made up. I dropped some goat's milk powder everywhere and the dogs were trying to lick it up. So I had to get, it was just a bloody nightmare. Anyway, in that time that I've gone downstairs to do that and come back up, Fabrizio Romano has tweeted about Tottenham Hotspur. We will get to that very shortly. Guys, girls, it is the 1st of July. Where's our signings? I'm just kidding. It is the 1st of July. And this is where, hang on, Wolves confirm. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought they were selling him. Old Strand Larson. Sorry, he's completed his move. It's that time, isn't it? It's that time of the year now where the window is officially open. Most clubs have kicked in for their financial year. There's no excuses. Whether or not people wanted to believe that was an excuse, there are no excuses now for not just Tottenham Hotspur, for any clubs to do anything, right? There's no excuses at all. First and foremost, let's have a little look, shall we? First of all, you lot know the rules. By the way, it is hot. Like, it is swelteringly hot. Let me just quickly do a poll. Sorry, I'm all behind today. Hang on 1 second. 1 second. Let's say yes, no. Let's have one more option. Let's have one more underwhelming. There we go. So, hang on. It would really help if I put the E in underwhelming, wouldn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Hang on. What am I doing? Savva, what are you doing? Why can't you spell this morning? Underwhelming. There we go. Would you like Mohamed Kudus at Spurs? It's a nice and simple poll. But before we do that, smash the like button. There's 200 of you in here already. We've only been live 3 minutes. So big up. Good morning to you all. Everybody is hoping and dreaming that they're going to catch the day where we're live. And we get here we go. It's the dream, but it doesn't always happen. Swelteringly hot. I've got the aircon on today, which I try not to do because it's bloody expensive. But the aircon is on today, and I've got a feeling we're going to start seeing some movement across the world of football. Let's go straight away, shall we, to see what was said 4, 5, 6 minutes ago by Fabrizio Romano. So Fabrizio Romano has said this: talks between Mohamed Kudus and Tottenham on the project. Personal terms are underway. Positive approach. Kudus is open to joining Spurs while talks continue with both player and West Ham sides. So this is interesting. So Spurs are now talking to the player, which would have been going on for a while. And now they're talking to the club, which wouldn't have been going on for too long. Well, not as long as talking to the player. But the bit at the bottom is the kicker, right, for most Spurs fans. I think we kind of know what this means, don't we? There are 2 more clubs involved in the race. Now, that is where we all kind of go, oh no, what's happening? Oh, who's involved? Who is involved in the race that isn't just Tottenham Hotspur? But let's try and remain positive about this. We need to get signings through the door. We need good signings. Now, this for me, I think this would be a very good signing on our right wing. I mean, he can play left. He can play centrally as well. This would be a very good signing. The worry for me is that one of those other 2 clubs, I believe, is Chelsea. And Chelsea if Chelsea pull the trigger, they're going to get him. That's the worrying thing. If Chelsea don't pull the trigger, then I think that we will get him. But there's the initial thoughts this morning of Fabrizio Romano. What are we saying, people? What are we saying? Happy with that? Is this good to see that it looks like we've got to July? We're now in talks. Obviously, we need a lot more, but I'm guessing that most people would be happy with this. Surely most of us would be happy with this as a signing. Surely this would be a good signing. I think he's technically superb. He's quick, he's direct, he's strong. He's got the best dribbling of any player in the Premier League. He's got the most take-ons of any player in the Premier League. And for me, this just changes the game a little bit for me. This just adds a little bit of a different dynamic. We've got Johnson, who we know isn't really a right winger. We've got Son, who we know isn't really a left winger. Tell, I don't know what he is. I'll be honest. I don't want Tell in the team. Kudus isn't really a right winger. So for me, this adds a different dimension to the way that Spurs attack. A different dimension of how we get up the field, i.e., we haven't got a single player in the team that you can give the ball to and he can go on a mazy run. This guy would be that. But the question is going to be, are Chelsea going to come in for him? And if they do they blow us out the water? Or are we able to fight them tooth and nail and bring in Kudus? Now, it says there are 2 more clubs still involved. The other one, a lot of people are rumouring it to be Newcastle United. Now, are Newcastle more attractive than Spurs? I don't know the answer to that question. Spurs are obviously in London, Newcastle up north. It depends. The player wouldn't have to move if he stayed at Tottenham or at Chelsea. Again, I don't know. How big is the pool of Eddie? What is the project that he's going to be selling? I genuinely don't know. And then what you get is you get these really annoying people like my man Charlie, the Blue brother. Charlie, do you want to come on? Charlie, let me know if you want to pop on, mate, and give us a Chelsea perspective on this. Feel free, bro. So don't get excited, bro. It makes the disappointment that much worse. I hate the fact that I know that that's true. If you boys come in for him, I know you get him. And that is what makes it worse. Whether or not you have you have the money. That there's no doubt that you have the money. Whether or not you need to sell first, whether you need to make some squad room. But WhatsApp me, Charlie. If you want to come on, WhatsApp me. We can have that chat. By the way, this is Charlie who absolutely robbed me. If any of you didn't see the video of me and Charlie debating for the Sun, for the Sun Sport YouTube channel, and somehow Charlie beat me 3-2. I've no idea how. It felt like daylight robbery. Charlie knows it. The producers know it. Everyone knows it. The footballing gods know it. But Charlie, just like Chelsea, managed to get the victory over me. Big up to you. And if you haven't subscribed, I'm sure you have. If you're a Chelsea fan or you like other channels, please go and subscribe to the Blue Brother. I'm a big fan of Charlie's work, and he's a great person as well, which really, really helps. Craig Silver said, help me, Savva. I love Eze, but can you convince me that Kudus is a better option? I wouldn't say they're in the same position, so I don't think it's an either or, Craig. Listen, Eze, I can't see that it's anything other than Arsenal. I can't. The moment we heard that Arsenal's camp are in talks with a player. Sorry, 1 second. I don't know what's happened to my chair. Somebody's moved my chair, i.e. the wife, for some reason, and I don't quite feel aligned. Look, Eze is a very different player. Eze is a very, very different player. Look at it. Oh, he's in the gym. Yeah, join me when you get back. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just letting Charlie know. Join when you get back. Let's give him the link for when he does get back, and we can speak to him about Chelsea and see what's going on. Listen, I will say this to you all. I don't think that we've ever bid for Eze, right? No one's ever said that we've bid for him. So I completely get that people are going to ask questions like this, like Craig has, and it's a valid question. It's legitimate. But first of all, Eze doesn't play in the same position as Kudus. So I'm not too worried. We need a winger. We need that wide man out there on the right. I don't like our wide right options. I don't look at Odegaard and Brennan Johnson and go, oh, wow. I don't look at Kudus as a wide right guy and go, wow. I look at Kudus and go, yeah, I do. I look at him and go, yeah, that's somebody that could, there's somebody that could do good things on our right-hand side. But Drew, again, guys, we've got to be careful what we ask for. When we're saying 60 feels steep, the reason why we all get annoyed at Chelsea and City and Liverpool and Arsenal is they don't talk like this. They pay it. We've got fans that are worried. 60 feels steep. So how much do you want to play for good players? How much do you want to pay? I don't get it. Kudus, I'll take Doku all day long. I'd take Doku all day long. He's actually got better dribbling than Doku. But Craig, I don't feel like you've listened to a thing I've just said. Arsenal. If Arsenal were in talks with Eze, why is he coming to Tottenham? I know Spurs fans don't want to have this harsh conversation, but it's true. And this is the problem, Philly. This is the problem. Is there isn't actually... this isn't actually an offer that we've made for the player, and it's us v Arsenal. I've said this for ages. I've said this for a long time, guys. If an offer comes in from Arsenal, who are a title-chasing club, right, who are now regulars in that title chase for the last 3 years, they're buying people like Declan Rice. They're buying people like Zubimendi. They've got a brilliant defence. They've got players like Bukayo Saka who are highly thought of in football. Eze is going to pick them over us. I think we need to move on from it. I really think we need to move on from this Eze conversation. I love Eze. I would love nothing more. But Marios, when you say with end product too, so what we're talking about is Kudus just had a below par season last year where he was being played out of position quite a lot. Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to take that into account. Guys, I don't know what some of you want. Like, do we want Odegaard and Johnson, or do you want Kudus on the right wing? I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? I don't know what we want. Worried about the price because we know it means that we'll be the only top player we sign. Chelsea, sure, but what can you do about it? Right? Like it's not our money. I get it. Like, I get annoyed if we spend big money, yeah? If we spend big money on an Archie Gray, sorry to bring him up, that annoys me. But this is a first-team player. This is a first-team player. But again, they don't play in the same position. I don't know what we're doing here. These players don't play in the same position, guys. We're trying to compare two players that don't play in the same position. That didn't stop him making 5-yard passes. If you look last, I don't understand. That's not what. I truly believe that. I don't know what I've cultivated over here on this channel. I don't understand. What do you mean it doesn't stop him making 5-yard passes? It didn't stop him making 5-yard passes. His progressive passes last season, he was in the 85th percentile. So it didn't stop him making. What I don't think people have done, I just think a lot of people are saying things without going and doing their homework. I will bring this stuff up for you again. I will show you. Yeah? I will show you his data and his stats before people are just saying things that don't actually have any relevance. Charlie, stop spamming in the chat. All right, I get it. Stop spamming in the chat. I don't understand what we want. We would be upset with anything at this point, wouldn't we? Like, we don't seem to want anything. I think he's a very good player. Again, he's not worth 70, 60, 70 million. I heard that about Mbeumo. I heard that about Semenyo. Heard that about João Pedro. They're all going for this price. Ask yourself why. Rob, absolutely. Who are these? I don't know, Rob, who some of the fans think Tottenham Hotspur are. I feel like our fans think we're Man City and Chelsea. We seem to turn our noses up at everyone. Last year, we were turning our noses up at Locatelli. right? We were turning our noses up at Livramento. We turned our noses up at, look how many fans turn their noses up at Dybala. Look at it. It's utter madness. I genuinely don't understand. What is it we want? What do we want as a fan base? What do people want? We could chuck out all the names. I want Eze as well, people. But if Arsenal are in, it's not going to happen. I'll tell you what is an interesting one. So, Fabrizio Romano has just said, Brentford have sealed the deal to bring in final 20-year-old talent Anthony Malambo. Medical done and deal in place for 17 million. Here we go. Perch's just said this to me. Can you do a poll in the chat for which season Spurs fans will be begging for Malambo to be Spurs player and blame Daniel Levy for not backing a manager? People don't want Mo Kudus because his name isn't Eze. It's just simply that. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know what we want. I don't know what we want. I'd be mega happy. Big up Perchy. I'd be mega happy with Kudus as a signing. That's the sort of player Spurs used to have. Someone who gets you off your seat, a ball carrier, someone good at dribbling, who runs at his man. Again, look, what is wrong with us? What is wrong with Daniel? I don't get it. Why do we now all care? I agree, Luke. I would be going and getting a player like Kudus at 60, and then I would be getting somebody like Harvey Elliott or McAtee. Absolutely. Absolutely, I would be doing that. And I would be building out those options in the midfield and forward areas. Absolutely, mate. Jim, I agree. He can play off the right, the left, or centrally. Yes, last year he didn't have the greatest season, but look how many people didn't have the greatest season. Look at how many Man City players didn't. Yeah? Look how many Spurs players didn't. I agree, Mace. Eze is the new Demal. It's got to the point where it's Eze or nothing. Kudus isn't going to the AFCON. Ghana didn't qualify. Again, people, we've got to do our homework on footballers. We've got to do our homework. Look at the guy that said he can't complete a 5-yard pass, and then he uses the excuse, I watch him 38 games a season. Okay, let's have a look how much this guy can't do a 5-yard pass, shall we? Right. Look at his stats against other forwards. Look at his shot-creating actions, his passes attempted, his pass completion is excellent, his progressive passes, his progressive carries, his successful take-ons are the best in the Premier League. His progressive passes received, his tackles compared to other forwards, his blocks compared to other forwards in the league. Look at the data before we say anything. Ash, absolutely. Honestly, people don't do their homework, mate, and then they just say silly things. What do you mean, why are West Ham selling Kudus? What do you mean? So should no one ever buy anyone because there's no Kudus? Should no one buy anyone? I'm guys, honestly, I'll say it, I'm truly confused, and I get called negative. I'm truly confused. How many people say, come on, Daniel Levy, act like a proper chairman. And then when Spurs are in talks for a 65 million pound player, oh, I don't know, it's a lot of money. I'm genuinely baffled. I'm genuinely baffled. I am. So you mean it wasn't last season? The season before, it was very good. The season before, he had 20 goal contributions in 45 games playing for West Ham. That's very good. Last year wasn't as good, but again, I'm going to show guys something that don't do their homework. Exactly, Mark. Exactly, Mark. What do you mean? This goes back to our point of leaving not backing managers. I don't understand what that means, Reezy. Let me know what you mean by that. Yeah, but Daniel, look, we know who we are. We know, guys, you all know we're not going to make free signings at 60, 65 million pounds. We all know that, right? We're not Chelsea. We're not City. We're not Liverpool. We're not Arsenal. We are not these big clubs. We don't have that pull. We don't have that spare cash sitting around. You know we're not going to do that. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Sure, but he also has the most successful take-ons of any player in the Premier League. So I don't know what. I'll be honest. I don't know what we're after. I'm genuinely baffled as a Spurs fan right now. I truly am. When West Ham signed this bloke, I remember saying, I want Kudus, and we signed Brennan Johnson. Yes, he's not had the greatest season. Many people don't have great season. Agreed, Ash. Agreed, Ash. Ash, you could tell the people that do the homework and don't. You could tell. And we're a bigger club than West Ham. And we're a bigger club. I can ask Mike's what he thinks of him. That's fine. That's fine. I think he'll thrive under... Let me ask you this question. This time last year, people, who was talking about Mbeumo? No one was talking about Mbeumo. Over the last few years, look what Thomas Frank's done to develop him. I think he'll do that with Kudus. And I think naturally, Kudus is a better footballer. Now, if he can get the finishing into him, mate, I don't understand. I don't understand. These are the same chat that always call me negative. But I don't know who we want. We don't want Semenyo. Most of them don't want Semenyo. Most of them don't want Kudus. I don't know who they want. I genuinely don't know who they want. We're not getting Mbeumo if Man U are in for him. Man U are bigger than us. We're not getting Eze if Arsenal were in for him. Arsenal are bigger than us. What is it that these fans want? What do these fans want? Talking of what people want, smash the like button, people. And we've had no subscribers throughout the show. That is absolutely pathetic. Come on, people. No subscribers throughout the show. There's over 540 of you in here. Smash that like button and please do. I'm trying to give you as much content as possible and only 138 likes from 540 people. 8% of 280 people think it's underwhelming. Do these people realise who our right winger options are? I look at our wingers, Tell, Yang, Odegaard, Johnson, Kulu, Mikey Moore, Solomon. I look at these wingers and I think we've got fans saying that Kudus would be underwhelming. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Kip. Yeah, but Spoon Dangler, let this sink in, right? Let this sink in. There are going to be players that some fans want to see the back of and some fans don't. For example, I've said if Atletico Madrid cough up the money, sell Romero. Do you think Atletico Madrid fans are going to be sitting there going, oh, some Spurs fans don't mind him leaving? Like, what do you only buy players? Do you only buy players where they 100% of the fan base want to keep them? I feel like we're having a mare here. I feel like we're trying to find reasons to not sign players now, yet everyone wants to bash Daniel Levy for not buying players. Guys, come on, what are we doing here? What are we doing? I will pin my flag to the mast on this one. Watch him play. He's an excellent footballer who's just not had the greatest year. Agreed, Adele. He has. He's got the technical ability in abundance. By the way, let's have a look. So this is him against forwards. Look at all that green, by the way, right? This is him against midfielders, right? Look at all that green. Look at it. 98, 98, 99, 98, 90, 93, 99, 98, 88. Now look at him against attacking midfielders and wingers, right? His pass completion for midfielders is very good. His successful take-ons. But this statistic, you wouldn't expect him to be as good as central midfielders in this category. But look at him in the areas where he excels, forwards and wingers. Look how good he is. Look how good his data is. Let me show you this one. I showed you this the other day. This is the crazy thing about it for me. I honestly think our fan base have lost their minds. I don't think we know what a good footballer is. Look at it. Attacking actions, carries, dribbles, expected goals and assists. Look at it. Look at those actions. Madness. Absolutely madness. I'll be honest, guys. I'm just a little bit baffled by what some of you want. No, I disagree. Mark, we've had this conversation. I disagree. The big clubs have always been the big clubs for a reason. They've got the biggest marketing. They've got the biggest pull, the biggest power, the biggest reputation. Again, I feel like we just want to lump it on Levy way too much. Mate, Mr. Arsenal, I genuinely don't get it. I'm at the stage where I've never known fans sitting there going, oh, that's loads of money. Yeah, this isn't a Richarlison. This isn't Solanke. This is the top technical footballer. Agreed. He would be. I don't understand. Smash that like button, people. Please do. And thank you for the 3 people that have just subscribed. Big up to the 2 marks. Big up to the Sheriff who has said, when will Levy realise we are a big club? We are, but we're not as big as people like you think. We are big, but we are not Liverpool. We are not Arsenal. We're not Chelsea and City. We're just not. Hey, big up to you, Mark. Appreciate it. Big up to Carl Howe, who's become a new member. Big up to you. You missed yesterday's member-only show, but we will have another one next week. But I really enjoy the member-only shows. It's just a good hour where we can all sit around and chat and have a laugh and doesn't get broadcast to the internet. Big up to you, Carl. Welcome. Thank you for the generosity. And big up to Kudus. Thank you. Very generous. Who said, I'm just happy we are likely buying a good player. Well, listen. That's it. It's not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. But isn't this what we wanted? Didn't we want Spurs to identify a target, go out and get that target? And now that's happening. We just don't seem to. No, I know you weren't, James. I'm just saying, like most of the chat is just, I've never known anything like it. Sean, can we get answers on a postcard in the chat right now? What do most of you want? Look at the caliber of wingers we've been signing. Brian Hill, Odeber, Tell, Solomon, Johnson, right? And then we go and start getting into negotiations with Kudus. Ah, no, he's underwhelming. What are we doing? I agree. And I agree again. We will have a proper structure behind him to allow him to express himself. Do we think Pep tells Doku not to take people on in case he loses the ball? Exactly. Exactly. Listen, I feel like we're now in the realms of we just want to have a go at Spurs about everything. Absolutely everything we want to have a go at Spurs about at this stage. Is that not fair? Sorry, something's going on with my chair. Is that not fair? Daniel Levy do this. Daniel Levy does it. No, Daniel, it's too much money. We always say, wouldn't we like to go to one of our rivals and take one of their best players? Oh, Daniel Levy, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, but that for me isn't on JS. That for me isn't on the Kudus signing. That would be on the Tell signing. That's where I'm more frustrated with a Tell signing. Kudus for me isn't underwhelming. I don't think you can put his naming underwhelming. I don't think a lot of you followed this boy as well for Ajax. This is a good player who's just had a difficult year. Steve, I get it. I want Eze. Not happening. If Arsenal were in for him, it's not happening. I know this. You know this. Everybody deep down knows this. If they remove their Spurs hat, we all know. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? Are you going to go Arsenal or Tottenham right now? Guys, he's going to go to Arsenal. We've got to let it go. Again, I know. Why would we lose? Why will we lose him for a chunk of the season? Ghana are not in the African Cup of Nations. Please. Fair enough. You sell him, we'll have him. We'll sell him, you have him. It's fine. This is what I'd love to see, Steve. That's what I'd love to see. I'd love to see Kudus bought on the right and then the Xavi Simons bought for the centre to play with a Maddison, for example, or a Kulu, for example. This is what we need to do. Think big. Big up to Anton Pollard. Said the sluggish movement in the transfer window suggests we are not as attractive as we think. Listen, I've said this all along. We are a big football club to a point. I've said this for ages. We are a big football club to a point. But to a point. Hang on 1 second. 1 second. Oh, allow notifications. Yeah, so I don't know why that wasn't allowing notifications. We are a big football club to a point, Anton. And I think too many of our fans, they see players that the big clubs are going in for, and they say, why aren't we going in for him? I saw people saying it about Florian Wirtz. Why aren't we going in for him? What do you mean, why aren't we going in for him? Why on earth would Florian Wirtz choose Tottenham Hotspur? Same with Eze. Spurs would have been speaking to his people. Maybe, just maybe he's turned around and said, I want to go to Arsenal. Arsenal were in for me. I'm going to join them. Aditya, but we all know what you're like. Aditya, I've seen you for years on here. If I said Kudus is rubbish, you would tell me you love him. I can't win with viewers like you. There are so many of you. If I sit here during the day and say, love this player, you hate him. If I say I hate a player, you love him. Oh, negative Savva, but doesn't like anyone. I'm sitting here saying I love this signing, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I don't know what we're doing. Ash, bang on. You ever thought about that? This time last year, my West Ham mates were telling me how bloody good Kudus was. Like the rest of the country was looking at him going, what a good first season. Look at that player. Now, suddenly, we don't want him. He's rubbish. Let's have a look. I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to go to a massive super chat. I'm going to show you this, right? If anyone wants to know why this man had an inconsistent year last year, and again, Ash, I'll talk to you about this. This is where me and you, we talk all day long about football. This is where these people don't do their homework, right? Have a look at where Mohamed Kudus, let me get rid of that. Have a look at where Mohamed Kudus played his football last season. He's played on the right mid, right wing, attacking midfield, support striker, centre forward, left wing, and left midfield. Now, have a look at how many games he played in each position. Are you ready? Look, can you see it here? Can you see all that? Oh. You see where it says played as? Look at that. How on earth was he meant to get consistency from that? Left wing, centre forward, right wing, attacking midfield, left mid, right mid, second striker. The year before, he had an excellent year. He had 20 goal contributions in 44 games, 45 games. I just feel right now, I'm going to have a pop at people. I just feel right now we're just getting to the stage where it's a bit silly and the club can do no wrong. Hey. But we haven't even got him. And maybe Chelsea get him. Maybe Chelsea get him. I don't know. And Mafouz, yeah, West Ham need the money apparently. Apparently, they're struggling with PSR, hence they'd be willing to sell him. Before we move on, big up for the super chats. Big up to High Flying Duck, who started the super sticker train. Choo choo, let's get a super sticker train going. Thank you very much, my man. Really appreciate you. Big up. Thank you very much. I appreciate that immensely. Big up to Kudus, who's come back in and said, if you played for West Ham, wouldn't you have an attitude? Do you know my problem is when people say, I hear all the time, he's got an attitude. He's got an attitude. He's got an attitude. Don't we always say we need a bit more attitude in our team? Don't our fans love Romero, who's got a massive attitude? Just saying. Just saying. Isn't it funny how the attitude thing only works one way? Just saying. Big up to you, man. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much to Paul Watkins, who's putting a super sticker. He's always carrying on a super sticker train with that beautiful dog of his. Big up to you, Paul. Really appreciate you, my man. And I do really appreciate people who put in their money to me. That really does mean a lot. And big up Moose with a massive $50 donation. Big up to you, Moose. It humbles me. It massively, massively humbles me when people are this generous. Moose can stick in $50 and some of you can't even smash a like button or subscribe. Massively, massively humbled. Thank you very much, Moose. He has said, hello, Sav. Good morning to you. It'd be good evening to you, I reckon. I really wanted Mbuemo or Semenyo or Eze, but one of the reasons why was because of the ability they have to take on their man. Kudus is very good at that. I think Frank wants Kudus. I think Frank can turn him into the next Brian Mbuemo. Do you know what, Moose? That's the exact reason why I wanted Mbuemo or Semenyo. Eze slightly different for me because he's not on the right, but yes, absolutely. I love players that can take their man on. And you know what? Kudus isn't just very good at that. He's the best in the league at dribbling past his man. He's got a 99 percentile take-on rate. He is the best in the league at it. I agree with you completely. I think that Frank will get the best out of this guy. And why can't he turn him into a Mbuemo? Why can't he get more goals out of him? This is a guy, as we said, that got 20 goal contributions. Not last season, the season before. So we know he's got it in him. But we've got very short-term memories, mate, in football, haven't we? We can only remember this year. We can only remember, boom, same people as I said yesterday. Same people, Foden. They forget that a few months before he was Premier League Player of the Year. Haaland gets it, doesn't he? If Haaland doesn't score for 3 or 4 games, I can't remember anything past this month. He's not very good because he hasn't scored for 3 or 4 games. Mate, I'm taking this player. I'm really humbled. Thank you very much. That is very, very generous of you. Thank you, Moose. Really appreciate that. And big up to Chris Robb. I'll come back to this in a minute as well, Moose, because that is very generous. Can't just move that on. Big up to Chris Robb, who's continued the super sticker train. Thank you very much, mate. That is very generous of you as well, my man. You've been very generous of late. I really, really do appreciate everybody that has liked, subscribed, and that donates. Obviously, this is a business for me now. So the money, obviously, is how people survive. So big up to you. Thank you very much. So I think as well, what we've got to look at here is on the right-hand side, this is a left-footed guy who plays on the right-hand side. Doesn't that fit into everything that we wanted to stop happening last season? I.e., didn't we want the right back, i.e. Porro, to go on the outside and not be inverted? Doesn't this exactly allow that for Porro to go out there and Kudus to come in here? That is on the outside in my hands, by the way. Actually, it probably looks better this way for you lot. So Porro going there and Kudus going in here. Doesn't that work? I think we're looking past. I think we're looking past what's needed for our own personal gain here. Again, Reezy, Kudus doesn't push the needle. Mate, you were happy with Spurs signing Tell. Reezy, this is how I know you're trolling. You were the one the other day waxing lyrical about Matisse Tell. But now Kudus doesn't move the needle. Well, How can Kudus not move the needle from the wingers that we've got? I mean, what a silly thing to say. Matt coming out with more corkers. Of course, one player doesn't solve all your problems. Gavin Peacock. How are we going back to Gavin Peacock? Big up to you, richest man. Oh, I met Gavin Peacock once. True story. Yeah, but also, Gus, money's changed in football, right? Money's changed. A lot has changed. A lot has changed. A lot has changed. Yeah, I would definitely take Grealish. I would love players like Grealish, Elliott, Semenyo, Kudus. Yeah. We need needle movers, not these hammers bums. Oh my God. I'm just shocked what I'm reading. I'm shocked what I'm reading. Well, he will certainly entertain you. He will certainly entertain you. There were people having a pop at him last season, weren't they? The year before, he's the greatest player that Man City should never have sold. Last year, everyone's having a pop at him. It's a bit mad. Big up Jim. Said Kudus would definitely improve us a winger who plays on the wing rather than cutting inside all the time. Runs at players, creating space in the box for the strikers. Do you know what's brilliant about him? He can go on the outside. He can go on the inside. This is a guy that just wants to take his man on. I love it. Whether it's right, left, centrally, it's what I love. Big up to you. Gaza, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, my wife's blonde. She's not 6 foot, though. I couldn't marry a 6 foot person. I'm not 6 foot myself. It would look really weird. Brinley said, Savva, ain't Man United a big club? Man United are a massive club, yeah. Man United are one of the biggest clubs in world football, verbatim. Yes. Do you think there is a more attractive view of Kudus choosing Spurs over Chelsea purely based on the densely populated squad Chelsea have? Well, listen, I'd love to be a fly on the wall when those conversations are happening. You know, when his agent's saying, well, hang on, Chelsea want him. That's where you've got to get Frank involved and say, you're going to be my guy. You're going to be my main guy. But Chelsea are Chelsea. They've got the pull. Players go there year in, year out for a reason. Agreed. 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 I'd be taking any of them. Buemo, Semenyo, Kudus, Eze. They're all 5 times. Listen, exactly. Doesn't play in the same position as Eze. I don't understand this. He's not on the same position as Eze. Great player. Can't see him wanting Tottenham at all, damn. I can't see DeMarco wanting to come to a club like Tottenham at all. I agree with you. He's a top player, but he's class. I think he goes to a bigger club than Tottenham Hotspur. Billy, honestly, mate, I'm blown away. I'm genuinely baffled by our fan base. I'm shocked by it. Thank you for the 2 people who just subscribed as well. I genuinely shocked this morning. Joshua, I wanted him before he went to West Ham, and I wanted him since he's been at West Ham as well. Sometimes you watch a player and you just go, yes. Reezy, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Reezy, you do come across, I'm going to say it, you come across so dumb at times. Right, for the 100th time, we don't decide if Eze joins us. Eze decides if Eze joins us. Grow up. Stop this. This is not how football transfers work, Reezy. If Spurs and Arsenal both went in for him and he picked Arsenal, that is not that we have let him go to Arsenal. That is not that we're not backing the manager. Have you ever thought that maybe we've inquired and we can't get him? You can't just knock Levy for everything. Big up, Drula. I'm a franker as well. Big up to you. How you doing? Let me know if you want to come on at any point. Kudus is a baller. His close control, dribbling and strength on the ball is unreal. He'll fit in perfectly. For all those people, Drewler, that always say, we want a Spurs-type player, this is what we used to love, isn't it? This is what we used to love. Technical ability, pace, gets to the byline, beats players, cuts in. We loved that. And it's gone. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. It's like, honestly, unfortunately, you've got people like Reezy that play Football Manager and they don't understand how transfers work. They don't understand it. They don't understand how football transfers work. It's just getting silly. So again, Matt, everybody, this is how you know Matt is a troll. Now, all season, this guy has been saying to me, hasn't he? Levy's just got to go and pay the money for players. If you pay the money, you get the players. Now it's, we need to be strategic. We need a lot of first-team players. We can't blow our budget on one or two. I hate to break it to you, Matt. How many first-team signings do you think we're going to get in this window? I'd love to have this discussion with you, but you shit yourself and won't come on. I don't understand. Are people thinking we're going to get 4, 5, 6 first-team players? It's absolutely madness. If Ange had wanted Kudus, the Reezys and Matts would have wanted him. That's how you know, right? That's how you know. If they had got Kudus, it would have been, he's an Ange-type player. Ange will get the best out of him. For all those talking about pass completion as well, I've just been sent Eze's pass completion is in the 36th percentile. I'm not saying I don't want him. I love him. I'd love both, but it's just not going to happen. I completely agree. I'd love that. I also want Harvey Elliott, and we're going to look at that in a minute as well. I also want Harvey Elliott. I just think you've got to build the squad. Got to build a squad. Not everyone's going to be a superstar signing, but you've got to build the squad. And our fans, as I've said, our fans more and more and more. I can see those that understand football from a grown-up point of view, and those that just say stupid shit like Reezy. If he gets Kudus over Eze, it shows he's not backing the manager. One, you don't know that Thomas Frank didn't want Kudus over Eze. Two, Eze might not want to come to Spurs, right? You don't know these things. Madness. We used to prize the likes of Gaza from United. Now Levy can't even convince Bremo to join. Now, again, that's a lie. That's not true. That's not true. And Bremo wants to join Man United. So again, this is we can't just make things up. Sorry, Gus, I know you're always in here, but you can't just make things up. Now Levy can't convince Bremo to join. That's not happened at all. That's why are we just making that up? You have to get better and better. You have to build. You can't just go from where we are to we want Florian Wirtz. It's not how it works. Madness. Agreed. He is versatile. Possibly Carlson. And again, Matt, you don't know this. You don't know what Thomas Frank's planning to do. You don't know what formation Thomas Frank's going to adopt. You don't know. When you're saying it leaves us unbalanced, maybe he plays wing backs and we're perfectly balanced. I don't know. Maybe he does what your manager that you love didn't do, and he actually plays the players in the right positions and leaves us balanced. Maybe. Just maybe, Matt. Daryl, this fan base is crazy, man. This fan base is absolutely crazy. Big up to you, Ben K. How you doing, bro? By the way, I'm just going to move on. I'm so far behind. Honestly, I'm just so sick of seeing people who don't understand how transfers work just saying silly things because they want to have a go at Daniel Levy. It's got silly. I don't like Daniel Levy, but I can't blame him for things when I understand how things work. It's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Stanley. Sorry, bear me 1 second. No, that's mummy's. No. Sorry, he's bought one of his mummy's slippers up. She'll kill him if he rips that to pieces. Yeah, I think this is, George, I think this is something we've got to take into account. This is something we've got to take into account. A lot of people don't seem to understand. Players will turn us down. Players will turn. What's in your mouth? Come here. What's that in your mouth? Jesus Christ. Don't get a puppy. Always got things in their mouth. Always got things in their mouth. Honestly, just get Eze. Sure, don't worry about if Eze wants to come or not. Don't worry if he wants to come or not. Just get him. It's just ridiculous. Wait, Kudus is the guy who got a straight red after smacking. Yeah, good. Bit of fire in his belly. Good. Bit of fire in his belly. Who cares? Come on, we're all good. I just think the problem with this constant Eze conversation is fans are going on like we've bid for him. And I think there's a reason we've not bid for him. I think there's a reason. As we said the whole time, if a bigger club comes in, it knocks it out the water. Yeah, yeah, it's hard work. It's hard getting hold of Lee. He's a busy guy. He's got a massive channel. So, yeah. 1 second. Oh, hang on. Oh. Oh, 1 sec. Oh, 1 second. Oh. 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, I don't understand, guys. I'm a bit baffled. I thought that most of the fan base would be delighted with a link like that to see that we're talking. Talking with a player like Kudus, but we just don't seem to be happy with anything. I just don't get it. But hey, it is what it is. Oh, Ash, have you ever seen Matt say anything remotely sensible? I honestly, he under Ange, all he did was blame Levy. Hang on here, please. All he did was blame Levy. Levy doesn't sign players. Levy doesn't spend. Now all of a sudden, oh, well, we need to be methodical. Hang on. That's not what you were saying under Ange Postecoglou. It's amazing how things change. Amazing. I don't know what that means, but Savva, Ange didn't want Eze. Context. I need some context. I don't know. Need some context. Listen, I really... Oh, God, here we go. Matty K's jumped onto something he's heard as always. Hotspur, please tell me which first-team players Andrew was given in his first window. I don't know, when he walked into Vicario, Mickey van der Ven, James Maddison, Brennan Johnson. He had a Dogi coming back from Udinese. Porro had just joined. He had Christian Romero, Bentancur, Kulusevski, Basuma. I mean, Hong-Min's son. I mean, come on. You've just... Matty K, you're the king of hearing something and then running with it as your own. Mark, absolutely. I'll take this all day long. All day long. Absolutely, Bill. Isn't that Matt's mantra, isn't it? Yeah, Henry Fog TV, it only works one way. Only works one way. Yeah, I think we know that Reezy's a troll. Reezy is an Ange troll. I've noticed that everything he says when it was to do with Ange is really positive. Everything he said since is really negative. Noticed, right? Big up to hi Savva. This is my first message. Just subscribed. I'm from Malaysia. By the way, Grealish, Kudus, and Solanke would be great, huh? Good content though. Big up to you. Listen, I listen. There are a lot of players I'd like. I'd love Grealish. I'd love Kudus. I'd love Harvey Elliott. There's many people that I would love. But yeah, but big up to you and thank you for tuning in all the way from Malaysia. Really appreciate that. Big up to Moose, who's coming again. Far too generous this morning, Moose. And said, another question. I heard from a few sources, Frank thinks a 6 is a key need. Who would be your 6 of choice? Yeah, I've heard that he wants a midfielder. No links yet, but I mean, look, there's a long way to go in the window. For me, I think Paulinho screams out as the obvious one. I really liked the look of Samuel Ritchie before he signed for Milan. I mean, Edison, lots of people talk about him. Be interesting to see what happens with him. Who else is there? I would have taken Norgard. I think that would have been a really sensible one. But he's obviously gone to the Gunners. I even like a player like Sander Berg. I think he does a great job. Comes in, does a job, gets on with it, and no fuss. So there's many options for me. I like Manu Kone at Roma. I don't know what sort of financial situation they're in. Maybe a Manu Locatelli, a Kev from Thuram. There's loads of players. A Yusuf Fofana. There's loads of players. A Zakaria. Loads and loads of them, my man. I just think that it's really important that we get somebody in midfield. I really do. Stanley, what are you doing? Just put your bum there, mate. Good boy. Good boy. Big up to you, Moose. You are way too generous, and thank you again for this one. Big up, my man. As I said, people, if Moose can be that generous, you lot can subscribe and smash the like button, please. Please, please, please. Let's have a look. Charlie has come in and said, if Kudus replicates his first season, you will be laughing. Boeing being unreal and forcing Kudus out of position for sure hasn't helped things. Sure, but I mean, I look at other factors at West Ham. I mean, he's played in so many different positions for you guys in a team that's not done well. But I agree, Charlie, and thank you very much for the super chat. I agree with you on the first part about if he can replicate that form. And you know what? That's down to Thomas Frank, right? That's where we go, right, manager, you've now got that player. Big up. Thanks for this, Charlie. Manager, you've now got that player. Go and make it work. So we'll see. Reezy, you're just telling lies now, mate. You're the one that wanted Matisse Tell, who's done nothing, but you don't want Kudus. Mate, you're just making things up to seem different. I think we've all figured you out now, Reezy. You're just trying to do things to be different. Same with Matt. Everything's got to be a little bit different to make it look like you're quirky. Big up, Dan. Said, yeah. Van der Ven, Madison, Kulu, Vicario, Brennan Johnson. He had a Dogie coming back from Udinese. Porro had only just signed. That's not true. That's not true, by the way, Swanex. I know somebody who knows his agent. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. Mate, he's going to go to Arsenal. They're bigger than us. He's big. They're bigger than us. Big up to Ibrahim, who said, Savva, Chelsea fan here. Welcome, Ibrahim. Would you be shocked if Chelsea hijacked Kudus? No, I would not be. I would not be shocked at all. This is Chelsea Football Club. It's what they do. In the back of my mind, that is what's going to happen. There's this 10% there which says we're not getting him because Chelsea are good at, and it's their prerogative. If they want to buy him, they can buy him. So we'll see. We'll see. Big up to you. Thank you for joining. Well, our budget isn't going to be 60 million, is it? What holes need to be plugged, Matt? What holes need to be plugged? You tell me. You tell me. Savva, the school children be sent over to school. It's mad, isn't it? It's madness. But yeah, mate, honestly, I love it. I think that's why people love coming to my channel, right? Is I'll call out all the comments, the good, the bad, the ugly. I will interact with everyone. I hope that's appreciated. I'll be honest, I don't like it when I watch shows and they don't interact with the viewers. I don't like that. Listen, we'll see, right? I don't think everyone needs to be a marquee. I just think they need to be first team players. I wanted to bring this up, guys. I wanted to bring this up. Present, share screen. I wanted to bring this up. So here's a couple of interesting bits of information from Ornstein this morning. And you know it's reliable when it's David Ornstein because he doesn't put out loads. Said Marcus Rashford is prioritising a move abroad if he leaves Man U this summer. Club wants sale, but the 27-year-old attacker is also open to loan or swap deal if the right opportunity arises and wants to compete for titles. So keep an eye on that one. And then we're going to have a transfer show later on today, by the way, so I won't go too deep into these. And then this is the interesting one. Liverpool set Harvey Elliott asking price as interest builds in the under-21 player of the tournament. Liverpool want 40 million with a buyback of 50 million without. 22-year-old forward eyeing regular football at elite, potentially Champions League level. So may look to go abroad. I would take this boy in a heartbeat. In an absolute heartbeat. But we'll come to that later. And there you go. Arsenal put Eberechi as a high amongst the options to bolster attack. No contact with Palace yet. Very different to what Romero said. Unclear if it needs exit, but serious candidate and separate to striker and winger. Would look to pay below release clause. Tottenham Hotspur not pursuing now. So there's that information from David Ornstein. So, look, we're going to have to wait and see, aren't we? We're going to have to wait and see. I think there'll be a bit of a battle. I think there'll be a bit of a battle for why have my mind gone blank? I think there'll be a bit of a battle for Eze. I do. I think clubs will want him. I think he's a brilliant number 10 that can float off the left and get in those positions. We'll see. Oh, we always get left behind. Kudus will be like when we got Matters. We need about 5 to 6. You're not going to get 5 to 6 first-team signings. Matt, you've literally... I can't do it. I can't do it with Matt anymore. Can't do it. Agreed, Mark. Agreed. Frank will make us solid and hard to beat, so I feel he will bring in a CDM. He desperately needs one. Listen, I'm looking forward to see what this man does. By the way, I think it needs a little bit of time. I think people... seem to think that from day one, he would have sorted out all our issues. The game against PSG is in 43 days' time. 43 days' time. That's what he's got. And then the season starts about 3 days after that. To me, a first-team player is an Eze, not an unheard of VDV. Sorry, so... Matty K, this has got to be the dumbest thing anyone has ever said. I don't care how old you are. Sorry, a first-team player wasn't Van der Ven or Maddison. What are you doing here, Matt? Stop. It's childish at this stage. I'll say it. It's childish. Mickey Van der Ven wasn't unheard of unless people don't watch other leagues. Mickey Van der Ven was the Dutch under-21 captain who played for Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. Stop this. Honestly, we just say the most dumbest things. It's just so silly. So silly. Hopefully that would be a massive factor. Pass. I don't know. I didn't even realise. Yeah, the names have changed back. I don't know. But you've got to stop saying silly things. Like Maddison wasn't a first-team signing. Maddison's our best footballer. What are we doing here? Agreed. We're not a cash-rich club. And the problem is, Swanix, a lot of people don't understand the difference between Spurs being one of the richest clubs in the world in assets and being cash-rich. High-flying duck. Dose of reality needed. Dose of reality needed. Absolutely right, my man. The number of people that are saying, he's not good enough, he's not good enough. Our average league position the last 3 seasons has been 10th. If I'm right. 17th, 5th, 8th, 10th. Our average league position has been 10th. Yeah, Romano said that this morning. Fabrizio Romano said that this morning. Let's see if anything else has been said. I don't think it has. But this is an interesting one, right? Perchie made a bloody good point. Brentford have now sealed a deal to bring in final 20-year-old talent Anthony Milambo. Medical done and in place. He made a point. How long until people go, God, what a good signing they've made there? A year, 2? People start going, oh, we missed out. We should have got him. But if we bought him now, we'd lose our minds. Great point. Absolutely great point. Madders and VDV. Big up, Rice. How you doing, bro? Savva, who makes more sense? Dogs? Hang on. Sorry, 1 second. Just sorting something out with Sean. I can't extract them. Why can't I extract them? One second. Sorry, yeah, I'm still live. I'll message you when I finish, but do these work? Sorry, it's my thumbnail guy. Big up. Who makes more sense, dogs or Spurs fans? Dogs. Dogs don't say silly shit. We've got way too many that just say ridiculous stuff. Get Simmons, Openda, and Kudus. I mean, Simmons and Kudus possibly. Simmons and Openda. I mean, Openda, I don't think could happen, but I like him as a player. I think that's a good shout, actually. I think it's a really good shout. If Kudus gets 10 goals, I'd be like, where is BJ? I don't know what that means, Emma. What do you mean by that? What do you mean, Emma? Ash. Yeah, I don't know how I've left this guy. I don't know how I have left this guy off my list. Yeah, Hjulmand as well, Sporting Lisbon. Really good player. I would have loved Samuel Ritchie as well. I really would have. Matty K said, Savva, so you would be really happy if we signed players with similar quality of those we bought in Angie's first window? What, James Madison's? Mickey van der Ven's? Vicarios? These are good first-team players. Sorry, isn't Van der Ven the guy that everyone creams their pants about? Matty, what you're doing, you're conflating two arguments. Is the argument, do I want better? We always want better. Is the argument, were they first-team signings? Yes, they were first-team signings. You've conflated two arguments. You get a bit confused when you're arguing these points, Matty. Your argument was Madison, Van der Ven, and Johnson weren't first-team signings. Well, they were. They were first-team signings. Absolutely, Ben. Absolutely. I think Sanderberg would be a brilliant signing. Really good signing. Don't know how much they would want for him, though. Yeah, that's worked. I don't know how much they'd want for him. He's only been there a year. By the way, Forest Green have appointed Robbie Savage as manager is the breaking news. Brian, I just want to move on from him. Nana K said, I just subscribed to Mr. Savva tuning in from Accra, Ghana. Kudus, pronounced Kudus. I would love him at Tottenham with Elliott, Locatelli, Simmons, and Collins. I tell you what, if that was our summer transfer window, I'd be over the moon. I'd be over the moon if that was our summer transfer window. Kudus, Elliott, Locatelli, Simmons and Collins all day long. Never going to happen. No, I'm not getting involved in this conversation. Not getting involved in this conversation. So I'm going to try and catch up. I think left wing is a massive concern. But the problem you've got is they've just gone and signed Tell on the left wing. Listen, I think Mohamed Kudus is brilliant for Spurs, but I don't like it when these people do those videos because they do those videos about everybody. And when you do them about everybody, it means that it loses its impact. Do you know what I mean? Those people did it about Bergfell, they did it about Gray, they did it about Hell, they did it about this, that, the other. Let's bring on Charlie Patrick from Blue Brother CFC. Charlie, how do you feel after you absolutely robbed me in our head-to-head for the Sun? How do you feel?
Mate, I feel proud. You know, what can I say? It wasn't down to me. It wasn't down to me. I did my bit, and then it was in the hands of the adjudicators, mate. And sometimes, you know, you win some, you lose some, and yeah, it worked out all right for me.
I can't believe it, right? So, guys, anyone that hasn't seen it, I'll put the link in at the end. Charlie and I have just done some work together for Sun Sports YouTube channel. Check it out. It's growing fast. And Charlie and I are going to be doing some more work for them shortly. So watch this space. And they wanted us to go head-to-head on 5 topics. And they were asking me to debate Charlie on topics like...
You were stitched up a bit, I can't lie. It was pretty tough, some of them.
Well, it was massively stitched up. Argue why Spurs are better in the transfer market than Chelsea. Yeah, all right. Come on, I was on a hiding to nothing, Charlie. Hiding to nothing.
Yeah, lads, I did feel a bit sorry for you on some of them, like Spurs Academy versus Chelsea Academy. Yeah, you were done a little bit dirty on some of them, I have to say.
Yeah. So we all agree that I won, right? Is that what you're agreeing that I should have?
No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is you were a little bit hard done by, but we take the win and we move.
We do, yeah. I took the defeat and then moved on. I won't say the result, but I moved on to face the deluded Gooner. Mate, listen, you got your Al Hilal top on there, I see.
Of course, mate. Of course, yeah. You know.
Did you watch it last night?
No, mate. Mate, I haven't got the capabilities of staying up to 2 a.m. to watch a game that's not my team.
Yeah,
I can't do that. So it was a nice surprise to wake up to this morning after a shocking night's sleep in the UK heatwave. I'm sure you can relate to that, mate. And yeah, nice surprise. Now I don't want to say too much, but now suddenly it's opened up for us quite nicely. Although I don't want to say too much because we could get dumped out Friday night, and yeah, it would be pretty Palmeiras.
Okay.
So we should beat them, but like the Brazilian teams and stuff, they're actually doing a lot better than what I think people expected them to do. And I think the good thing about this tournament is like the quality of teams that you don't really see is actually getting highlighted. Now, I think there's a lot of disrespect from Europe, from England and whatnot in terms of Brazil, in terms of South American football, maybe, Asian football or whatever it might be. So I think from that perspective, it's quite good that these teams are put on a platform that you can actually watch them and realise that, some of these teams are better than what a lot of people think they are. I'm not saying the quality's like they're unbelievable, but they're much better than what they think they are.
No, completely agree with you, mate. By the way, sorry, George, just quickly, thanks for putting that in the chat. I am going to change the time of that show to 5 p.m., by the way, not 7 p.m. I'm going to go live at 5 with that show, the transfer show. The transfer shows are going to be every day now because now the summer window is hotting up. And Charlie, talking about transfer windows hotting up, can you give us a bit of a clue? We're all sitting here as Spurs fans arguing, can we buy Kudus? Can we not? Because he might be our one and only signing, right? Our marquee signing. What's it like being a Chelsea fan where you guys just buy player after player after player?
I mean, look, it's good. So some of it's good. Some of it's obviously not so good. A lot of that money, we have to be honest, and a lot of that money has been misallocated and spent poorly. But a lot of it has been spent pretty well as well. The great thing about this Club World Cup is that if we win on Friday against Palmeiras, that's £55 million banked, and that's Pedro or Gittins paid for just from the Club World Cup. And we've got the public investment fund and Newcastle's owners to thank for pumping that cash in for us. So that's always warranted. And we're very good at selling players as well. But at some point, I sort of think we can't sort of keep going on about, oh, we need to sign more. We need to sign more. Like, we just need to get it right. But I don't know, someone like Joao Pedro, I think, is an exciting player. Gittins, I'm a little bit unsure about. I would have been okay with Gittins if he was coming in as a backup option on the left wing. It looks like he's probably going to go in and start, and I'm not sure if he's quite ready for that. But whatever people think of the policy, whatever people think of, Chelsea in general, we have got some very good options at the top end of the pitch at the moment. And you add Joao Pedro in with Cole Palmer, with Pedro Neto, who's on a very good Club World Cup and whatnot. But I think with Mohamed Kudus, look, don't get me wrong, would love him. But I think we're in a situation where we need to sell someone, probably Madueke, enable for us to move for Kudus.
Let's talk Kudus. So listen, we all get excited. Well, some of us get excited because we're always linked with players, Charlie, but it's very rare we're actually talking to them, right? Like, you guys are always. Listen, Charlie, you know me, I'm old enough and ugly enough to know that I want Kudus, but I'm old enough and ugly enough to know that the moment you guys come in for him, I kind of resigned to the fact that he's going to Chelsea. Do you need him as well? Is this real? Are you going in for him?
I wouldn't say it was like we need him, but when you go out shopping or something, you see something nice. You don't need it, but you might quite like it. You want it, yeah. You don't necessarily need it, but you think, oh, I quite fancy that. I might get that. We could have got Kudus a couple of years ago when he was at Ajax. We'd agreed personal terms with him, and then, as we normally do, we put in a disrespectful offer to Ajax, and he ended up going to West Ham. I mean, we did sign Cole Palmer that summer instead, so maybe it wasn't a terrible misfortune to miss out on Kudus. But I mean, I would like him. I think he's a good player. He's obviously struggled at West Ham this season, just gone. And he's a versatile forward player. He can play on the right hand side, can play for the middle, and he would be another good option. However, I do think that we need to get rid of someone first. And that's the only thing where I'm looking at it. I think, right, West Ham, because they've constructed their squad so badly, they need to sell before they can buy anyone. Kudus is obviously probably really their only sellable asset. And where I think you might have an advantage over us, or maybe a Newcastle or whatever it might be, is that West Ham need to sell. They need to sell fast. And whilst we're at the Club World Cup and we need players in the squad. We necessarily maybe don't want to get rid of them at Madueke because we need options for the latter stage of that competition. West Ham need to sell quickly. You're in a position where you could strike fast before anyone else gets to the table because West Ham need that money.
Have you met Daniel Levy?
Well, yeah, true. But maybe something's got to change at some point, Savva, But that's where I'd worry from a Chelsea perspective. Like, as you said, I don't worry about Chelsea and Spurs in a straight shootout for a player. I'd back us every time. But you do have the advantage where West Ham need to sell fast to spend this summer. And so I don't know if Kudus is happy to go to Tottenham and he doesn't want to wait for other clubs to come to the table. But I think, I don't know, I don't want to say you're in a great position, but you're probably in a better position than a Chelsea or potentially a Newcastle if they're the other team in for Kudus. You're maybe at the front of the queue at this early stage, potentially.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, look, it always worries me because what Romero said is that, we are in talks with him, but that there are two other other clubs there, which we know one of is you lot. And a lot of reports are suggesting that Newcastle are the other club. Now, Newcastle seem to be struggling. Everyone they're bidding for seems to be rejecting them. And it goes to show that it's not just as simple as putting the money down and being in the Champions League. What seems to be happening with a lot of clubs is the moment Arsenal, the moment Chelsea, the moment Liverpool, City, the moment those big clubs come in, even Man United, Charlie, even Man United, who are a massive club, the moment they come in, the rest of us are almost going, oh, okay, we can't get him. So I wanted to ask you, based on that, there's a lot of Spurs fans that are really unhappy about the Eze situation. We'll come back to Kudus in a minute. If you're Eze, realistically, you are joining Arsenal over Tottenham.
Yeah, of course you are.
Option, of course you are. You are.
I mean, look, Eze is 27 now. You'd probably say that this would be his one big move that he's got in his career, probably from Palace at 27. If you go to Arsenal, it's probably your one big move. Now, the greatest respect to Tottenham, if you're going for one big move in your career now, right, and you look at Tottenham and Arsenal and you think, where am I going to get the big? Where am I going to win the trophies? Where am I going to play at the highest level? You're going to be joining Arsenal all day long. Now, would you get more minutes at Spurs? You probably would get more minutes at Spurs than you would at Arsenal. But Eze would play a lot of minutes at Arsenal as well. So, unfortunately, if you look at it, 27 years of age, coming into his prime years of his career, he's just won the FA Cup with Crystal Palace. I know Arsenal haven't won anything major for a while, but you are obviously going there. You're going to play Champions League football every season, and you've got a better chance of competing and, you know, maintaining your status as an England international, going to the World Cup and whatnot, if you go to Arsenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Listen, everyone knows I love Eze. I would absolutely love Eze to be in Tottenham's team.
Yeah,
but I always say this, and this is why I'm going to bring up a comment just because I want to address it. You know me, Charlie. Every now and then I see a comment I want to address. By the way, the link I'm putting in the chat right now at 11:33 a.m. UK time is the link for Charlie and I having our debate on Sun Sport. Please get over there, show some love, subscribe to the Sun Sport channel. They've got a lot of good content that's already out, and they're doing a lot moving forward. So watch this space. But this comment makes me laugh. It's like all common sense has gone out the window. And by the way, I'm a Levy outer. So all the Levy outers now seemingly accepting we're not a massive club. First of all, I think I've always accepted, and many of us have accepted, we're not a massive club. Without huge resources, and should be happy with with one marquee signing. For me, I want sensible signings. I don't care if we want to call Kudus a marquee signing. I want sensible signings. I want signings where you go, we have a gap here. Let's address it. It's fans like you that are marquee, right? Marquee, star signing. I don't look at Kudus and go, that's a marquee. So I look at Kudus and go, we need a right-sided forward that can beat men. That's your guy. Yeah. So I think you're chatting shit here. I'll call you out. Sorry, I'll call you out. You're chatting shit here. I'm not happy with Daniel Levy. Never have been. But I can't knock the guy if he's going to go and spend 60, 65 million on Mohamed Kudus. I can't. How can I knock that? Sorry, Charlie.
But would you rather, right? If genuinely you've only got like, I don't know how much money Spurs have got to spend, but if it's a case of like, if you get Kudus and that's really your only, obviously you want to be your only signing, that's like your main signing. Would you rather have Kudus, or would you rather go and get like maybe 2, 3 or 4 players that maybe cost you 25, 30 million each, or a little bit more than that, but they're good players. They fit, you know, the profiles that you're missing in the squad. Not necessarily the biggest names, but they're going to be more beneficial for building out a better squad with better depth for a Champions League campaign.
I think he'll do both, mate. I do think he'll do both. That's the problem. I think we're talking as though some fans are talking as though Spurs have only got £65 million to spend in the window.
No.
We're going to have money. And there's this fallacy within Spurs fans that, Daniel Levy's not spent again. Charlie, the problem with us is we spend a lot, we spend it poorly.
They don't tell me about spending money poorly. Yeah, we've done the same, yeah.
Yeah, but when you spend poorly, you go again and again.
Oh, yeah, we cast them off real quick. They're gone. Yeah.
We spend poorly and then we have them for about 9 years. Do you know what I mean?
So you still have, is Ndombele still a Spurs player?
No, he went last summer.
Oh, he's actually fully gone now. No more loan. He's finally gone. Fair.
Yeah, he's fully gone. But Adiz said Chelsea don't need any more wingers, Charlie. They don't.
No, we don't need any more. But if we're talking about improving the squad and upgrading, if we can get a situation, well, actually, do you know what? I actually quite like Madueke. But if you're telling me we can sell Madueke and bring Kudus in as a replacement, then I'm taking that because it's an upgrade. And it's about making your squad and your team better. So if we're in a position where we can do that, then I would be for it. But I also fully understand that Kudus probably isn't a major priority for Chelsea. And the Club World Cup's difficult for us in terms of getting players out at this point in time. But yeah, look, we don't need him. But if you can move Madueke out and bring Kudus in as a replacement, that's an upgrade. And that's what I'm looking for, improving in areas that we need to.
Yeah, and I think this goes to show on the inside. I think Charlie's just explained it brilliantly, and I think we've got to remember here. And if I say anything nice about Chelsea, I'm about to be told I'm glazing Chelsea. These bigger clubs don't rest on their laurels, so they'll have a look and go, "All right, we got that player. This one's available. Who's better than this one? Cool. Let's go and get that one who's better." Unfortunately, Spurs don't move like that, Charlie, and that's why Spurs fans get frustrated. We don't move like that normally. What I'd love to see Spurs do is I'd love to see us, for example, people are, say, "Oh, we want Kudus and we want a left winger as well," but we don't tend to move like that. We don't operate like you guys do. Let me ask you, as a Chelsea fan, I know you're quite a level-headed Chelsea fan. Do you see Spurs, as it stands, as a rival for those top 4 or 5 positions?
No, I've got to be honest, Savva, no, because you guys come 17th last season, and I don't right now. I don't see you as rivals for those top 4, top 5 positions, Champions League places. Not at this stage. Look, depending on what you do this summer, depending on the backing that Thomas Frank gets, the players that come in, how he starts, I actually like him. I think he's a very good manager. But at this point in time, I don't look at Spurs and think, shit, they're going to be giving us a run for our money for like sort of between 3rd and 5th place. I just don't see it right now. You'll be better under Frank for sure, but you're not going to give. I would strongly struggle to believe you're going to go from finishing 17th and losing over 20 games, however many it was you lost in the league, to suddenly competing for top 5 positions in the space of one summer. It's not going to happen. It's going to be for me, I feel it's going to be a steady improvement over 2 or 3 years to get back to competing regularly, season in, season out, for those top 5 positions. At this point, Sarah, I don't see Tottenham as a rival for those positions.
Yeah, do you know what? I think you make a good point, and I think that there's definitely an infighting within our fan base. I'm sure there is in every fan base, but the infighting in our fan base very much stems, obviously, from the whole Ange Postecoglou leaving. Some wanted him gone, some didn't. And the problem you've got is fans like me. You know me, Charlie. I said to you, I want a coach. I'm happy with a Frank.
We've got a coach now, yeah.
And now we've got one. But I think people now go, right, all right, then your coach must get you top 4 immediately. He must win things immediately. I don't think they understand the mammoth job that Frank has to implement a style, because we talked about this loads, Charlie. No one was scared of playing Tottenham under Ange, were they? You guys were
guaranteed 3 points, pretty much, for most teams. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the point, isn't it? So talk to me. Where are you lot going to be this year? I mean, you've made some signings. Pedro's through the door, Delap's through the door. You're talking to other people. Who am I missing?
We've got Gittins as well through the door.
Gittins is through the door. Are these players the players that take you from 4th to joining City, Liverpool, and Arsenal in those champions in the championship race?
I'm not entirely sure, because when you look at Chelsea, right, I look at us and I think, right, what we need to do is we've got to try and close the gap to Liverpool, to City, to Arsenal. And I look at what Liverpool and Man City have done in the transfer market compared to what we've done so far. And the players we've brought in are, they're good players in their own right. They're talented, they're prospects. They've got, a lot of potential to become maybe very good players. However, when I compare that to a Florian Wirtz coming in, Frimpong, Kerkez, I look at Reinders, Ait-Nouri, I can't remember who else they signed now, but I can't remember now. Reinders, Ait-Nouri, and forgotten the third one. Oh, Rayan Cherki. When you look at those players compared to the caliber of players we're signing, purely based on that alone, I'm not seeing the gap closing between us and the teams above us. So if I look at next season, obviously there's a long way to go in the window still. Let's wait and see what we've done. But I look at that and I think next season, if we can try and finish 3rd maybe and win a domestic cup, maybe get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, I would say that was a good season building on what we've done last season.
Yeah, see, the way I look at it with Chelsea is, I think that I said this 2 years ago, so I'm just going to give myself a little tap on the back because I think this is going to come true. When a lot of people, and I know a lot of it is YouTube infighting, for panel shows, but said 2 years ago, when Chelsea started to buy all these younger players and everyone's going, oh my God, they've spent £1 billion and they should be winning right now. I think you're starting to see some of that fruit, so to speak. Enzo Fernandez is quality.
He's improved, yeah. He's very good, yeah.
Is improving in quality. Cole Palmer is improving in quality, right? For me, I think that Chelsea are now going to start to see some rewards. I still think, though, me personally, still think you're missing those two worldies from being in that title race. I don't know. I still feel that and I don't know whether that's a centre-back, goalkeeper, but I feel like you're just two away. Is that fair of me to say?
Mate, 100%. Yeah, we are. The frustrating thing is, right, people think Chelsea are far away, and sometimes it feels far away, but we're not a million miles away. We're not a million miles away. And that's why I was so annoyed that we didn't spend that extra £5 million to get Mike Maignan in, because that was a goalkeeping market's not great. You struggle to get an opportunity to bring a decent goalkeeper in, and when you refuse to pay an extra £4 or £5 million to bring one in, that's where I get frustrated, because the goalkeeping situation in the club is terrible. We probably could do with one more top-level centre-back. And then I just look at it, right? Other than Cole Palmer, have we got a top-class attacking player? I don't think we do.
I think you've got a selection of very good ones. Players. Yeah.
But this is what I think we're doing, Savva, is that, like, Maresca's constantly said he doesn't want one player that scores like 30 or 40 goals. He wants like 4, 5 or 6 players that are all going to chip in together to get you that same amount of goals. So if you can get Delap, that gets you, say, 12 to 15, which I think he probably...
Can I ask, is that what you're expecting for Delap? Because this is an interesting signing for me, because Delap's had 1 year in the Premier League, right? He's had 1 year in a team that got relegated. He did well, and he's a bit of a throwback. For me, he looks like an olden day bustling centre forward.
That's exactly what he is, mate.
How many goals is he going to get? What's going to be expected of him?
I think at the very start, just get more than you got last season with Ipswich. So he got 12 with Ipswich last season. I think that's got to be the baseline for him again. Get at least 12 goals. It's going to be different at Chelsea, right? Yes, you're going to have a lot more chances created for you. You're going to be playing with better players. However, teams are going to play very differently against Chelsea than they were against Ipswich, because everyone just came out and played against Ipswich, and a lot of Delap's goals came on a transition. Whereas at Chelsea, teams are going to sit much deeper generally. You're probably not going to get the same amount of time or space on the ball. So it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to playing against defenses that sit deeper. But if we create the chance that we do create, I think it's realistic, providing he stays fit. I think it's realistic to expect 12 or 15 goals from him next season.
Yeah.
I don't think that's outrageous. I really don't.
Can I ask, as a Chelsea fan, and probably very dangerous to say on a Spurs channel, right? As a Chelsea fan, do you... Oh, sorry, Charlie. I don't know what happened there. I think my internet...
You froze, mate. You have to say that again.
Sorry, just saying. Do you get frustrated as a fan, where because you've spent the amount you have in the last 2-3 years, whether it's, at first it was, we've done $1 billion, and then it was 1.5, whatever it is. Do you get annoyed that people go, right, you spent that, you should be winning everything? Or do you think people need a bit of patience and realize that, yeah, you spent that money, but it wasn't on the best and you're building?
Savva, football, like, fans are always going to point at money. And if it was a simple case of the team that spends the most money always wins, then, we would be winning everything. It doesn't work like that. Spending the money is one thing, but spending it in the right way, on the right players, on the right profile, putting the squad together, that's a totally different question. So, yes, we've spent the money, but the squad's not been put together particularly well. That's where we've obviously majorly let ourselves down. There's been some good signings, but too many of the signings are, these guys could be good in a few years. You need some more proven quantities to go with those guys that could be good in a few years. So, but what I think Chelsea are doing is thinking, right, the guys that we signed a couple of years ago as youngsters, they're then going to become our experienced players, so that when we sign the younger ones in the next coming years, the experienced players are going to be the ones that we signed like 3 years ago. That's what I think they're looking at. That's how I think they're going to. That's how I think they're looking at it. Like, it's frustrating as a fan when it's like it's a long-term project, and you're sort of like, yeah, okay, I get that. But football, you need to plan long-term, but you've got to succeed short-term. So, like, where?
Yeah, the thing is, fans.
That's the problem, isn't it?
All, right?
They want
fans
it all.
Want it all. We want to win short-term. We want to plan long-term. And I think that the difficulty that we've got now in football is, you're right. People just see money. So back in the day, it used to be that if you were spending, I mean, I grew up and I remember the days where 15, 20 million was a top fee for a player. It was like, wow, like it was Shearer. Shearer went for like 15 million and the world went, oh my God, like this is huge. But it used to be that you knew that money was getting you proven quality. The difficulty now is everyone's massive money. So when people are saying to me, oh, Kudus at 60 million. Well, João Pedro, Brighton, 60 million. Yeah, Semenyo,
all these
60
players.
million, 60 million, 70 million.
Everyone's the same price. Do you know what I say, right, about that? Is that you look at it and you think, oh, this is the market we're in nowadays. Does the player improve the team? Does he make the squad better? Does he make us better? If it's yes, then you need to go and pay that money to make your team better. Because if you don't, someone else will go and do that. And that's how you get left behind. Or that's how you end up on third or fourth or fifth choice targets on your list. Because if you want the best players and you want to move forward as a team, unfortunately, you're not going to get every single deal on a price that you want. So you have to weigh up, how much do we want this player? How much does he improve us? If that's yes, then you're going to have to pay more than you perhaps wanted to. If it's no, and you think you can go and get somewhere for someone else with better value that does the same job, go and explore it. But ultimately, you know, if you don't spend the money on a player, someone else will, and that player will go and improve someone else's team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, you know, we're in a market where it used to be a buyer's market. Now it's very much the club selling says, all right, you want our player. We're not in any financial trouble. He's got 4 years left. We want 80 million. Now, what happens is fans go, he ain't worth that. He ain't worth this. But the problem is the buying club's got to go, well, hang on.
That's what he's worth to us.
It's what he's worth to us, right?
Yeah.
So, and look who we've managed to find. Look at this. I've managed to find Wolfie as well. I've not streamed Wolfie for ages.
How you doing, bro?
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, hold on. I need to jump out and jump in because Charlie's spinny circle for me. 1 second. Oh, no, there he is. Hi, Charlie.
Hello, mate.
I'm good. How you boys doing?
Yeah, we're doing all right, mate. You boys might have to refer to me as world champions next season. That'd be disappointing, wouldn't it?
El Hilal. El Hilal, is that?
No, mate. You'd have to refer to me as a world champion.
I love that. You say that while sitting there in an Al Hilal shirt. I love.
Yeah, mate. Celebrating the fact that they've made our job a little bit easier potentially.
I love how you pronounce them, though, Charlie.
Mate, I'm not Arabic, so
the crowd. Arabic is a language, mate.
Yeah, it is a language, but
Arab would be the right.
I'm not Arabic. I love that.
Yeah.
Wolfie.
Yo.
Wolfie. What's going on with you? What's going on with Forest?
Getting pied by everyone.
Are you selling anyone? Are you buying anyone? What's happening?
Well, mate, I woke up this morning and expected like 100 signings because it's the 1st of July and everyone's been telling me. I'm not seeing anything.
New financial year.
Yeah, the new financial year, even though apparently it's all prorated anyway, so that's a whole other story. But yeah, I don't know, mate. I think this will be a big transfer window for a lot of the Premier League clubs.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they're not doing the business early. Because then you end up on that final few days. No, in general.
Oh, in general, yeah.
No, but I think the Club World Cup's massively skewed people's, perception of the transfer market. Because normally, without that, the transfer market's been open 2 weeks, maybe 10 days, and normally not that much happens early doors. I think the fact that the teams in the Club World Cup had that window to bring players in early, sort of maybe altered people's expectations in the market. Suddenly demanding signings on like June 1st.
I think the biggest difference is the PSR. If you remember back to this time last year, we were doing deals with Newcastle, you were doing deals with Villa. Everyone was tidying up the PSR books, having PSR parties. Whereas this year, I think everyone knows where the loopholes are, and to a certain extent, PSR
Villa have just done it as well. They sold their women's team yesterday.
They underpriced it, but it is what you did it for 200 mil, didn't you?
No, because it was that was the valuation, but you're only selling a stake in it, basically.
How much did you get for your women's team?
I don't know. I think it was 200 million, and then we got 10. Yeah, but we got the best women's
to sell their women's team for.
No, we got the best women's team in the world, though. Well, the best women's team in England, certainly.
How many of those players can you name?
198.7 is the official answer.
Yeah, but Savva, what's interesting about that is it's a nominal fee. It's what Chelsea think their women's team will be worth in 30 years' time. This is why I'm not even joking.
No, but it's been all signed off by the Premier League. It's all.
I'm not saying it's illegal, man. We get it. It's a loophole. What I'm saying is, I was surprised by Villa. I think they sold for 55 mil.
Yeah. But I mean, how good is Villa's women's team? It's not that great, is it?
Have they still got Alicia Lehmann?
A player?
No, she's at Juventus.
I was going to say, because she would be worth the 55 million all on her own if she was still there.
Oh, she might be coming to Forest.
What, Lehmann?
Right, I assume she would come with her partner, wouldn't she? Are they still together?
I think so.
Douglas Luiz?
Right, that was a couple's transfer. They both went to Juve. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
we've got
the under 15 team or something.
We've got Victor Garcres's girlfriend in our team. So
that means
maybe Garcres is.
You know what that means, mate? He's coming.
Probably better than Solanke, mate. So he might...
anyone's better than Solanke. But what's Wolfie? Obviously, look, Nottingham Forest, good year for you lot last year, getting European football. At the moment, I believe it conference, depending on what happens with Palace. Is that right?
Yeah, pending. So it looks like it's all resting now on whether Lyon win their appeal or not to get back into Ligue 1. If they win their appeal, there was meant to be a decision made on it for Palace yesterday.
They keep delaying it, don't they? Isn't that twice they've delayed it now?
Yeah, they're trying not to make a decision. What they're hoping for is that Lyon lose their appeal so they can say, okay, no problem, Palace can get in.
If I just imagine this, having PSG to help Lyon paid Barcola's transfer fee all in full.
Hang on, I've got breaking news. I've got breaking news that does involve Chelsea football.
Chelsea have signed Mo Kudus.
Florian Plettenberg has just tweeted at 11:54 that he understands Arsenal have already submitted an offer for Noni Madueke. The 23-year-old winger could leave Chelsea. Talks have started. He is one of several top profiles Arsenal are assessing for this position. They're still considering Rodrigo should he wish to leave Madrid. I'll tell you what, Wolfie, can I tell you what stands out to me immediately? And this is because of people like you. You know all these people that go on panel shows, like the Arsenal fans that will look at Chelsea and go, Madueke shit.
Bro, he's cut. This is mental. I might have to go in a few minutes, boys, to react to this. I'll stay for a bit, though. It does involve Chelsea to a degree. So Arsenal are going to help us out by signing Madueke.
It involves Chelsea massively
directly. So Arsenal are going to sign Madueke potentially, and then we can go and sign Kudus, and you boys are fucked. Fantastic.
Well, yeah, I think what that does is that takes us out the running for Kudus.
Maybe that's why you're looking to move so quickly, because you know the potentially. I don't know if they all know this shit, but we're getting rid of Madueke, and so they want to move real fast before we actually come in.
That's I mean, what do we think of that as a? I mean, the Arsenal fan. Listen, all I know is I want to go and watch Ligue 1 later today. I can't imagine that the Arsenal fans are going to be happy with Noni Madueke, are they?
No.
What is this love affair that Arsenal have with the lesser Chelsea players?
They love us.
So who is that now? Havertz?
Mate, it's
Sterling,
Cech, Gallas, Jorginho, David Luiz, Kepa. Hey, it's It's our retirement home, Savva. Once we've had enough of someone, we send them off to the North London retirement home, and life's good.
But for me, that from a Spurs point of view, what's annoying at reading that is that for me, just all I read there was Kudus to Chelsea. That's exactly what I've just read in my own mind, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too excited, but yeah, I mean, that's potentially opening. That's potentially opening. Right? Well, yeah, because that means that if Madueke goes Arsenal, but again, this all has to be down to whether the player actually wants to go. Is whether he wants to go. Like, it's all very well submitting an offer or whatever, but if the player don't want to leave, you're fucked. So
what is the offer? Does it say?
No, it says it's a personal terms offer, but it doesn't really. It doesn't expand from that.
I don't understand it, right? Because I would assume the going rate for a winger is 50 million minimum. Yeah,
well,
so
he's an England international. He's got probably 5 years left on his contract, I would have thought. And
minimum.
Let's have a look.
He's probably got 5 years left on his deal.
Madueke.
You're looking at least 50.
You're looking at 50. Yeah. With the market the way it is, you are looking at a minimum 50.
His contract runs out in 2030. Yeah. 2030.
Yeah, exactly. We've got death row settings on a contract. It's absolutely fine.
So somebody explains to me why they would do it.
Plus an option for
There's an option for another year. There's an option for a year, yeah.
Yeah, that's chump change, isn't it, with their contracts? But why wouldn't they just go in for Kudus or for Morgan Rogers or whatever and just put a little, or Eze? Like, okay, it's not the same position, I get it, but have
they got homegrown problems? Maybe I don't know Arsenal's homegrown situation.
Maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Eze, yeah.
Where
are they getting all their money from? They've done Zubimendi, Norgard, Kepa, right? So already they've done about 70 million they've done?
Mm.
And they're talking about Sesko Algarquez is going to set them back 70, 80 million. Plus Eze is going to be 68, 70 million. Plus Madueke is going to be 50, 60 million.
But to be fair though, the Eze thing, Eze's release clause can be paid in 3 installments of 20 mil. I know you've still got to spend that money over, but that's release clauses normally are all up front. But with Eze, it's 3 installments of 20 mil.
Do you know what's crazy about Arsenal? I found this stat out yesterday. Do you know what their record sale is on a player?
Terrible. It's Oxlade-Chamberlain, 35 mil.
Oxlade-Chamberlain, 35 mil.
Mate, they're
for
terrible.
Sale.
Yeah, they're terrible.
That's their record-breaking sale.
Wow.
That was about 7 years ago or something.
They're terrible sellers.
They are atrocious at selling players, man. They really are.
Yeah,
it's horrific.
No, they're dreadful at it.
Are Spurs better at someone than something? We've sold Gareth Bale for like 85 and Harry Kane for 100.
How much did you sell Modric for back in the day?
40, I think. 40. Back in the day. Now it would have been.
Oh mate, Modric would have been 100 mil now.
Modric would have been worth now.
Modric's a 100 mil player now. Easy would have been if you had him now.
Record sale is better than Arsenal's, thanks to Spurs.
Brendan Johnson.
Brendan Johnson, record sale.
So what we're saying here, guys, is again, this is what we love. It's the butterfly effect in football, isn't it? It's the roundabout that starts. So it's
the domino effect, isn't it?
Yeah. If Chelsea is selling Madueke to Arsenal, Arsenal will then buy Kudus. Spurs will then have to look at Semenyo, Eze. I don't know. Does Arsenal signing Madueke and the striker mean that they're not going to be able to get Eze as well? I don't know.
The thing I don't get right, Madueke comes in realistically as a backup to Saka. Would we agree? Like they're looking for that depth potentially.
Is he right or left? Yeah. Where's he
right? He plays right, but he did play the latter part of the season in a few games on the left, didn't he, Charlie? Correct me, He looked slightly better, to be honest.
He is okay on the left for a couple of games towards the end of the season, but he's a right winger.
Yeah, so in theory, he's a backup to Saka, realistically. Okay, so the bit I don't get in the logic of this is why would they facilitate Chelsea's ability to spend more money over a backup on a right winger who they could pick from plenty of other right wingers to come in as backups? probably for less money. Saka, you would, for his sake, you would like to think he would stay fit this season. Hopefully they sorted out his injury and looked after him better from last season. But it doesn't, and to do it to Chelsea, who is a rival, a London rival, it just makes no sense. I don't understand the knock-on logic that, the 4D chess game that Arsenal are playing here. Chelsea have strengthened better already this transfer window than Arsenal have, in my opinion. And the gap is closer than it was when the final whistle went at the end of last season. So why would they do this? It just doesn't make logical sense to me.
Yeah, I get it if they were signing a top-class player that comes in and immediately makes them stronger.
Yeah.
But I don't think Madueke is better than... Well, we know he's not better than Saka, and I don't think he's better than Martinelli or Trossard. So I don't get this as a signing.
When you look at it, though, Savva, right? Gittins, we paid 55 million quid. Well, that's all in, total package.
Yeah.
55 million for Gittins, right? Who is 20 years old, not an England international, no Premier League experience. Madueke, Premier League experience, England international, 23 years of age. If Gittins is going for 55 million pounds all in, surely Madueke, at a bare minimum, you are starting at 55 million all in as a minimum. So surely you maybe be looking at 55 or 60 million. Surely Madueke is not going for less money than Gittins.
With a longer contract.
Yeah.
Well.
But what this also does as well, guys, is you think at the moment, what's the bare minimum Chelsea are making from... If you get knocked out of the World Club Cup in the next game, what have you made? What's the bare minimum?
We've made over 40 million already.
Okay, what can you get for winning it?
120 million.
Right. Let's say Chelsea get... So let's say you get a bit further in the competition and you make yourself 60, 70, 80 million pounds.
Yeah.
Right? You get 80 million there. You get 55, 60 million for Madueke. That 140 million has just paid off for Delap, Gittins, and Pedro.
Yeah. We've the Club World Cup's already paid.
That's bloody good business.
Yeah, it's already paid for Delap, right? We beat Palmeiras, we get 15 more million. That takes our earnings to 55 million. That money pays for Gittins or Pedro. So just
and then Arsenal pay for Kudus.
Yeah, that in itself.
Then Arsenal pay for Kudus.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the point. Like, people talk about, Chelsea spending money again. How are they doing this or whatever? Well, Club World Cup is paid for Pedro or Gittins, and then we sell a lot of players and we sell players very well. So that's how we do it. Like, we're not doing...
Be worse than that. Is he an academy player for Chelsea?
What's his
backstory?
But Madueke was in Tottenham's academy. He left Tottenham's academy early, went to PSV Eindhoven for a few years, and then we signed him from there for about 29.
So we've let go of a player for free who's going to end up having over 110 million pound in transfers and isn't even that good.
How much did you pay for him, Charlie?
29 mil.
Oh, you made 29 mil.
How long ago was that?
January 2023.
2023, 29 mil. So you've taken 2 years off his PSR. So the PSR profit is going to be quite healthy on that, which let's just call it roughly 30 million minimum. That then facilitates potentially 4 to 5 times the amount you could spend on PSR with that, because you amortize it over 5 years. So Arsenal, in effect, are giving you somewhere close to 75 to 100 million worth of spending power in this transfer window by doing this. And I think if I was an Arsenal fan right now, my question would be, what does this mean now for Nwaneri? Because he showed great signs last season of potentially being able to, deputize for a Saka or play in the 10. But if you're bringing a Madueke in, that pushes him down the pecking order as well. So the question would be, what happens to him as well next season?
Yeah, no, it has knock-on effects. So, but what I would say to that is as well, Wolfie, is that now more than ever, the squad game has never been more important. Never been more important with the amount of football being played. You almost need, to a certain extent, best part of 2 strong 11s. You almost need that. Maybe not quite 2 full teams, but you probably need 16, 17, 18 really good footballers. With how much football's being played now, and with fighting on multiple fronts, you probably do need that many players. So you can, like, it is true though. Like, you could look at that and you think, right, Arsenal Champions League football. Let's say they go Nwaneri, Saka, Madueke, Trossard, and Martinelli. That's 5 options, right? I don't think that's too many options to have in attack.
But the other thing I'd say, Charlie, is Arsenal doing this transfer window for me in reverse. I said this to Potts the other day. If I had a leak in my roof and the guy came to fix it, I wouldn't say to him, start with the basement and, fix that crack in the wall. They're buying all their backup players. They got the gaping hole up front, the gaping hole on the left-hand side. That's not being addressed. Technically, this is another one of the backup squad players if we are assuming he's there to cover Saka.
Well, of course
I don't get their strategy.
But the mad thing is, though, like, I think the way that clubs will look at it now is that I don't think it is quote unquote backup options anymore. I think it's like, right, these are our options. I don't think it's a case of, oh, Saka's going to play every single game. He may well do.
But he's done that with Saka, Charlie.
No,
the reason he got injured last season was because he ran him into the ground.
So maybe this is why, maybe Arteta has learned that actually, do you know what? I cannot play Saka every minute of every fucking game. I need to get.
Can I admit something?
Yeah.
I want to admit something. I'll say to Wolfie as well. First of all, just quickly before I do that, Fabrizio Romano is refuting what Plettenberg has said and saying he remains one of the names, but no bids or proposals so far. So this is going to be interesting. Who do we believe? I don't know.
It's probably somewhere in the middle, isn't it?
Romano's got a lot wrong.
They've probably said, "Hey, what's the situation?" And Chelsea have said, "Well, we can, but we'll see."
But it doesn't contradict Charlie. Savva, because they're not saying they put a bid in. This is on a discussion with the player, I assume.
Yeah,
they're not really contradicting, are they? If he's saying no submitted offer.
What did Plettenberg said?
It's a personal terms offer.
Well,
they submitted an offer to
Arsenal have submitted an offer, to Noni.
They've obviously got in touch with his agents. We're prepared to offer you this.
Now,
what are you saying?
Which is technically illegal still, by the way, but that's a whole other story.
Isn't it mad? Like, you're not supposed to do that. Yet every single club, pretty much for every single transfer, you're going to the player first before you go to the club, because there's no point bidding without having the player buy-in. So every club does it, even though it is absolutely not allowed. I mean, remember we got done silly for Ashley Cole back in the day.
I want it to happen for this guy. Do you guys know Angus?
No.
I want it to happen for Angus because he was on my show yesterday telling me that Arsenal are a massive club and only want to sign big players now. I think it would be hilarious.
Come and collect again. Another one for the North London retirement home. Come and collect from us. It's what Arsenal literally buy players that basically have had the best part of their careers at Chelsea or aren't good enough, and then they go to Arsenal.
I'll say so. When we spoke a couple of weeks ago on Dan's show, Wolfie, I was very much against what you were saying, but I'm now very much on board with it over time. That I understood why. Well, it's not about either our clubs. It's about Arsenal. I was on board with Arsenal taking their time, trying to find the right one in Sesko, Gyökeres. Now I just feel like if I was an Arsenal fan, I would be so fed up with the circus.
Surely, what are they waiting for, Savva?
But they need, listen, I think that they almost seem concerned of what the fans think. I think what the club needs to do, and I don't care, I'm a Spurs fan, right? If I take my hat off being a football fan, make your mind up, Arsenal. Who is it you want? If it's Gyökeres you want, go all out. He's there. He's coming out and saying he doesn't want to play for Sporting again. If it's Sesko you want, you know the terms, go and get the deal done. But Arsenal seem to be doing what? Kepa, Norgard, Zubimendi, Eze, Madueke now that they're making proposals
and that Christian Mosquera at the back, the Valencia.
Yeah. Everyone but the 30-goal-a-season man that they could buy all those players. Eze's brilliant. Mosquera's a good defender. Zubimendi's good. Norgard's good squad depth. Kepa's a good second goalkeeper. Brilliant. Buy all of that. You still don't scare the shit out of anyone because you haven't got the goal scorer. I'm confused with them.
It feels like Arsenal
I'll say that to you here. I'm on your side with that now.
It feels like do you know what it feels like? And maybe the same for us to a certain extent. Arsenal are taking sideways steps. Now that's what they're doing. They're taking sideways steps. They're not taking steps forward. Because basically what's happened is they've replaced Jorginho and Thomas Partey with Zubimendi and Norgard. Is that an upgrade? I'd say at best you've kind of stood still there. Zubimendi,
no, I agree. What I would say, Zubimendi and Partey.
I like him. Yeah, that would have been preferable.
The swap is people keep saying, "Oh, they swapped Zubimendi with." They swapped Partey with Norgard. I don't see it like that. Norgard is the replacement for Jorginho.
I do though.
Yeah.
But
I do.
I'll come to that in a second. For me, what I think they're doing, I agree with you. I don't think they've massively moved forward, but what I do think is Zubimendi's a very different profile of a number 6 to Partey. So I think that what we might see is Arsenal move into a different way of playing with Zubimendi as more of a deep lying and allowing Declan Rice to go and be more of a number 8 than a number 6. That's only my opinion. I don't know. But
on that front, I agree with you. It'd have been a different style, but I believe their plan was Partey and Zubimendi.
Yeah.
Now,
fair.
I think you would have then seen a bit of rotation in them. If they're up against a sweaty team, you would maybe see both of them deployed in a game and what have you. And the reason I think Norgard was brought in for Partey was because it wasn't until you started hearing rumours of the contract talks breaking down with Partey that Norgard's name started to appear. So I think Zubimendi was the replacement for Jorginho. I look at that and think that's a massive upgrade. And then I look at Norgard as the replacement for Partey, and I think that's a massive downgrade because I think Partey was one of their better midfielders last season, especially when he played in his correct position.
No, he was good. You have to give him credit. He was decent. So you look at it from that perspective, I think at best they've stood still, really. That's not an improvement.
Yeah, because Zubimendi is good, Charlie.
I like
Zubimendi, They're not improving. Partey has done it. Okay, barring his injuries, when he's played, he has been very good for them.
Zubimendi could be better than Thomas Partey, but if we're doing it right now, you would say that they basically stood still. Kepa coming in, whatever, it's a backup keeper, doesn't matter.
It is what it is. Yeah.
It is what it is. But in terms of like why what I don't understand is, right, Arsenal looking at Sesko and Gyökeres. How difficult is it to decide which one you want and go and get them? Like, what are you debating? Is it a case of Arteta wants one, but Berta wants the other? Like, what are we doing here? Like, surely you're desperate for a centre forward. You have been for years. You've got it down to 2. Why is it so hard to decide which one you're going for? Because when you delay, it allows other clubs to come to the table, and then you potentially run the risk of missing out, like we did with Caicedo. We took so long with that. Liverpool came to the table, put in a massive bid. The only reason Caicedo came to Chelsea was because he gave us his word. If he, like, other players wouldn't do that. They'd be like, you guys are taking a piss. You're taking too long. I'm going elsewhere. Now, Arsenal could have the same. I'm not saying they will, but they could have the same issue where they maybe miss out on a Sesko, or Sesko decides, do you know what? F this. I'm going to stay at Leipzig for another year because you lot are taking a piss and you're taking so long. And someone else might go and get Gyökeres. And if that happens, then who are Arsenal going for?
Charlie, there's a bigger problem for them than that. I agree with what you said. If this was a case of they just lost their striker this transfer window, whatever, fine. But here's the problem Arsenal have. If we are saying Sesko versus Gyökeres, let's just say Liverpool come in tomorrow and they go and buy Gyökeres, just as an example, okay? You have now got one striker left off their shortlist. Now, what do you think his club is going to do? Are they going to say, well, Arsenal, we feel sorry for you that, you couldn't make the decision and now it's made for you. We're going to, honor the price that we've been discussing. Or are they going to say, your hands are tied now, mate. That's another 10 million on his price. Don't call us without at least that offer on. Because they know they've railroaded them into this one channel.
Can I ask you then? Welcome, Sean. Can I ask you then? I'm really surprised that Gyökeres isn't getting more attention. I don't know if everyone's waiting to see what happens with Arsenal, but I'm really surprised that, I'll be honest, Chelsea, for example, I'm surprised that you guys didn't go for him. I'm surprised that Liverpool, we're hearing they want Ekatike. We're hearing they want Isak. Gyökeres, for me, would seem to be cheaper than both of those, proven, and a massive goal scorer. So for me, I'm a bit confused as to why more haven't gone.
Savva, I think teams are...
Nunes.
I think they're looking at... There's obviously something they see in Gyökeres, and they're unsure about it. I don't know if it's because it's the Portuguese league or whatever, but look, the guys scored goals in England. Yes, it was at championship level, but the championship is a tough league, by the way. And decent players have come there and gone on to be very good Premier League players. But there's obviously something teams aren't liking about Gyökeres. Are they doubting his ability to transfer his form from Portugal to the Premier League? But I think the guy's done it in the Champions League as well. So I don't know if his wage demands are ridiculous or what, but there's clearly something that is putting teams off from moving from him. Because when you look at his goal scoring, maybe the owner, but if you look at Gyökeres' goal scoring record, right, the number of top teams that need a striker, and you look at his goal scoring record, and there's not that many decent strikers on the market, you really have to question, why is no one seriously gone for this guy?
I think each one's got their own agenda with it. I think Liverpool are scarred by Nunes, so they don't want to go into the Portuguese league for a striker again. I think Chelsea have got your whole profiling thing, and you're going to say, yeah, we'll break it when we need to. But on the age thing, I think that's where Chelsea, that's where Chelsea have the issue. And then I think Arsenal are just so fucking indecisive that they don't know what to do. It's a case of, I think Arsenal almost wants someone else to make their mind up for them by taking one of those two players and just leaving them, cornered into the other one. So, and then Man U are just waiting.
There's an element to it as well for me. I think the market doesn't know whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. I think you've got a couple of big deals that have come in at different ends of the market spectrum, given like Delap, for example. I know it's a release clause, but super cheap for the value. Florian Wirtz, ridiculous money for the value. Ridiculous money. Like he might be the best player in the world, but like 90% of the top 20 transfers of all time have been abject failures. And one injury and he's cursed. £210 million committed to that contract and the lump sum. You got Liverpool that are somehow managing to get players out for decent value as well, like in Kwanzaa. But everywhere else has been in flux, especially in that striker market. That I think for the first time in like 3 or 4 years, there's probably as much supply at the top end as there has been demand. Usually, we're saying there's no strikers available. When Harry Kane was moving hands, it was going to be 120 million, 130 million. It ended up being 90 or whatever with his last year left. But there's never been as many decent strikers on the market that are available to move relative to the amount of clubs that are looking for them in a supply and demand kind of economics vibe as this summer. You've got players. I know they aren't all going to be at the Arsenal end of the market, but you've got the likes of Dusan Vlahovic, Osimhen, you've got Sesko, Ekatike, you have Gyökeres, you have maybe Ollie Watkins if he has to leave.
Sounds available. Huh?
Yeah, there's today apparently Man United.
But at the same time, you've got this situation where Saudi Arabia can't convince people to join them as easily as they used to. And so whether that's because of the geographical proximity to maybe a World War III powder keg, I don't know what's going on with Saudi Arabia, but they're like the sugar granddaddies of Europe, right? Like usually it's the Premier League teams that support European leagues with overpayments. And then you've got Saudi Arabia that are coming in, but no one really is going to Saudi Arabia for the big money anymore. I think that I think it's going to sort itself out very quickly, because I think that João Pedro going for 50 million quid has essentially set the correct benchmark now. If that's the price for João Pedro, then on that basis, what is the valuation of a player that's better than João Pedro? And Gyökeres, he hasn't done it in the Premier League, but he has, right? So if Gyökeres thinks that he was getting himself a gentleman's agreement that was going to be, honoured by the equivalent of Daniel Levy from Europe, right? One of the worst.
Why are players still doing that, by the way? Gentleman's agreement. It's utter nonsense. It's so stupid.
Get it in writing.
Never an owner with an asset, right? It just doesn't work that way, does it?
It's never happening. Never. Gentleman's agreement. You can leave for this money.
It's never been honoured. There's no example of these things actually being honoured.
Did Kane have a gentleman's agreement with Levy one summer?
Yeah,
and it didn't. Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah.
So guys, I think that Pedro's the first striker within that market that set the kind of benchmark now, the baseline, the benchmark, whatever. And from there, teams that were thinking about doing this sitting on their hands, they now know what the valuation is. Yeah, you can decide whether Gyökeres is worth 80 million quid.
You're looking at 55, 60 million quid, roughly what we're looking at now. Like Gittins was that. I think we overpaid, but Gittins was that money. Pedro's been that money. I think Kudus, realistically, we're being honest, Kudus is probably worth that sort of money as well. So, yeah, West Ham can say they want upwards of whatever money for Kudus. But when you look at, as Sean said, when you look at the market and the players of a similar quality that have gone for that price, West Ham, I don't think West Ham can expect to get more than 60 for Kudus. There's no
way.
Can.
I don't think 50 million. Kudus had a shocking year last year.
He did have a shocking year,
I don't think he gets any more than 55 max.
Yeah.
I disagree. And I'll tell you why. Because if Spurs are interested and then Chelsea become interested, if you do sell Madueke to Arsenal, you do get your Club World Cup money. Why West Ham not going to push for more money?
Because West
Ham
Ham
has got a market where Brighton are valuing Semenyo at 70, Forest are valuing Elanga at 60 to 65.
They're not going to get that money.
They're not going to get it. Oh, they don't want to get that money. Anthony Lang is no. Anthony Lang is a horse player.
We don't need that money. This is the change in football. We don't have to sell him. That's the thing.
No, sure. But if he wants to go, though, you're not going to get that money. If Elanga comes to Forest and says, I'd like to leave, like, Forest are not going to say...
He's not doing that, Charlie.
No, I know. But what I mean is, though, no, but Semenyo, for example, right? Bournemouth, they want upwards of 60 mil, reportedly.
Yeah,
they're not getting that. They're not going to... They're never getting that money.
Because they've already lost Huijsen, Zabanye, Kirkez.
They've been picked apart.
Yeah, I love it. I hope they get relegated.
I don't know how Bournemouth are going to... I don't care if Bournemouth can raise 300 million quid this summer from selling all these players. They're not a team that can go out and drop six. That they're not going to be able to attract a 60 million pound type of player to replace the players that they're losing.
No.
So they're going to have to go reset.
Same with Brentford as well.
Yeah.
But everyone 100%. Thought Brentford would miss Tony. They didn't miss Tony. But obviously, if Bremo goes and whatnot, at some point your luck runs out. You can't keep replacing.
Yeah, this is going to probably go.
Because you saw it with Southampton, they got picked off every year, and eventually your luck runs out.
Exactly.
I mean, Brighton seem to have a way of doing it, but they seem to be like the exception to the rule. Like everyone else.
You just fund them, don't you, Charlie? Let's be real here.
Yeah.
West Ham have just had a bid rejected, by the way, for a left winger. So I don't know if this is me.
No, they're spending the Kudus money. No,
they've just had a bid rejected for El Hadji Malik Diouf, who's a left winger for Slavia Prague.
El Hadji.
His name is El Hadji.
Any relation?
Diouf. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know.
No, hang
on, I'm just looking at him.
How old?
He's 20 years of age, left midfield. He
might be his son. How old is El Hadji Diouf now? Probably 40.
4 caps for Senegal. He
can
play
international as well.
It must
be.
He was in the 2002 World Cup, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was 2000
left centre back. He can play as well. So
Savva, forget all that. Is his dad El Hadji Diouf?
That's all you care about right now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Comes from good stock.
Let's have a look.
Someone in the chat also save us.
Someone in the chat, help me out. I haven't seen. It doesn't say anywhere, but I mean, you'd have to say it was right.
Yeah, it's like Timothy Weah is George
it?
Weah's son, and I
it says
never
here,
put that connection together.
It says here at the top, in his Wikipedia page, not to be confused with El Hadji Diouf or El Hadji Diouf, the footballer born in 1988. So
let's just pretend it is, because it makes it a better story, doesn't it?
Much better story.
But it's brilliant, isn't it? See, Wolfie, the 1st of July comes and all the transfer news is rolling in, Wolfie. Everybody's financial year.
Yeah, but they're such frauds. They've just been sat on it and they just wait for the 1st of July to release it.
Yeah. But so, guys, essentially, we're waiting for the domino, right? We're kind of waiting for who is going to be that first striker to go, because everyone in the chat is throwing in a name which seems obvious, but this guy for me is his own worst enemy. Osman is a goal scorer, right? But won't go anywhere that don't pay him 400 grand a week. Why would you not go to? Everyone would want him, right? If he went to 250, 260.
But the only offer he's got is Galatasaray. That's it.
I know. Because they're the only ones paying 400 grand a week.
Well, what does that tell you about him? Like, I like Osman, right? I think he's good. I think he probably, and look, you've got to back yourself as a footballer. But surely when you see, right, and where the market for strikers is not great, and a lot of top teams need a striker, and you've got the opportunity to go and play in the Premier League or in Europe's top leagues, right? Champions League football, and the only offer you have on the table is Galatasaray. Surely you're thinking to yourself, hang on a minute, I've got a lot of money. I'm still going to make a lot of money. Why am I not just going to take a little bit less wages and go and play at the highest level? Like, why is money really that important to him that in the prime years of his career, he's happy to go and rot in the Turkish league? Surely not.
I made exactly the same argument for about half a dozen players at Manchester United right now. Like, but the argument should be, like, lower your wages for this transfer, get yourself back into a market where if you kick on, then you open up more options for the future. Otherwise, you are basically filtering out 99.99% of clubs that might actually take a look at you because you're hanging. It's like it's cut your nose to spite your face. Short term, they can't see past the end of their nose. Just quickly though, I have to ask this question to you guys. Like, there's something going on with Turkish football. Like that,
where's the money coming from?
The story with Mourinho and the leaked text messages from the Turkish FA that had links to the mafia. Where the hell is all the money coming from? Right, there's no big contracts, no big sponsors out there. Like, the revenue to these clubs, they're not even in the top 50 revenue clubs. Where is the money coming from?
Easy answer: hair transplants. Hair transplants.
Fenerbahce are paying John Duran 10 million euros net for 1 season loan.
Well, but I disagree.
Special football tax thing, haven't they? Where footballers get like tax free or something.
They've got Leroy Sané, Galatasaray giving him 300 grand a week contracts. They're prepared. They've got Osimhen. They're looking to give all this money to. Like, where's this money coming from in Turkey?
I think it's coming from
Saudi. I disagree with the narrative.
How is John Duran going to Turkey 6 months after? Like, that's got to be.
It's meant.
It's like corrupt. It stinks of wild money laundering. It stinks of it. Like, footballers are becoming the new. Like, they're being trafficked around Europe and into Saudi Arabia, then back into the jurisdiction via Turkey. There's something wild going on. I was so curious.
He joined Jones?
Yeah, he's gone to Fenerbahce. Duran.
He's joined Fenerbahce, right?
For a season loan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but like, the narrative for me is
Marco Asensio is going to go there next. By the way, Marco Asensio is the next link to join up with Mourinho. What are we doing here?
Where are Fenerbahce getting this money from?
Yeah, hair transplants, man. Hair transplants.
Surely it's not hair transplants funding that. Yeah, but I'll tell you what though, Wolfie, if you get just for fucking Sane's 300 bags a week contract, do you know how many? Imagine how many hair transplants that is.
Have you ever flown through Turkey and seen the amount of people with bandages in the waiting room? You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of bandages, man.
Medical supplies companies are going through the roof out there, aren't they?
But that's not paying for Leroy. That's not paying for Leroy Sané or the Osimhen.
Well, maybe his hairline's moved back a few inches. You know what I'm saying? And while he's out there, he can get it done on the discreet.
Yeah, maybe it has.
Just going back to the.
Isn't it a shame, guys? Bringing it back to football, isn't it such a shame that a talented player like John Duran at that age? For me, it's such a shame that he left Villa, where I think he could have been the natural successor to Ollie Watkins, has gone to Saudi, which was, for me, is again purely financial and purely helped out Villa in terms of PSR. And then, I'm not knocking the Turkish league, but if you're at that age, you're at his age, or you're at Osimhen's age, is Turkey where you want to go to show?
What's the issue with it? I don't see what the issue is with it.
Savva, what he is though, like, and I like John Duran. I think he's got a lot of ability. At this point in time, he has got all the hallmarks of being Mario Balotelli Mark II. All the ability, but can't really settle anywhere. Seems to be maybe a bit of a problem or falls out with people or whatever. And he'll be doing the rounds in Saudi and Turkey or and God knows where else. I mean, I hope that's not the case. But there was a clip. Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers done a teammates thing whilst on England duty. And they were talking about Duran. And Watkins literally called him Balotelli, like the second coming of Balotelli. And that seems to be what he is right at this point in time. But yeah, I'm surprised that no one went in from the Premier League for him. I'm surprised that someone didn't maybe take a bit of a gamble on that. But who knows? But Savva, I've got a drop now, mate. But thanks for having me on.
No, thanks, mate. Really appreciate it.
Nice one, guys.
Look,
cheers.
I hope you enjoy your next 15 signings this summer.
Mate, I hope you enjoy calling me world champions next season, mate.
Yeah, El Hilal, we will. El Hilal. Yeah. But just on the Osman thing, I think there's too much drawn on this whole money merchant stuff in football, because we're assuming that footballers eat, breathe, sleep football. It's their job, right? If you can see a shortcut to get more money, if someone offered me at my job to triple my wages, I can give a crap about my current employer. I'll 2 fingers up to them and I'm off. So if you can see that, remember, a footballer's career is quite short term. I know it's not like it was back in the 90s where, you know, you still would then have to go and work in media or find another job or what have you. But still, they will be retired by the time they're 30, 35. And they've got their whole life ahead of them, families to look after. Generations, in this case, is what they're kind of eyeing up rather than current family. So if he can cut a corner and someone's stupid enough to pay that amount of money, then fair play to him. On Duran, he's doing it the opposite way around, in my opinion. He's looked at himself, he's thought, I'm still young. If I go and do this Saudi thing for the next 2 to 3 years, I've secured my future going forward. And then I'll come back to a European club. They'll still want me. I'll still be, you know, coming towards my prime then. And then I'll take the salary there, but my bag and future is secured. So they do what they want to do, mate. And I don't think we should judge them. We don't know their financial situation.
I'm not judging the players, mate. Players have got to get their bags 100%.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is how it is that some of these clubs have got the money that they have to spend. For example, I just looked up what Fenerbahce's revenue was. Now, they're a publicly listed company on the Turkish Stock Exchange. In the last 12 months, they made the equivalent of 111. Their revenue for their club was 111 million pound. That puts them at about the size of Leicester.
Yeah, but bringing in an Osman or whatever, does that generate them sales? Does that generate the eyes of the footballing world on them? Does that?
But
generate
that's all of that is
sponsorship
represented
deals?
in the revenue in which they produce, right? So if their revenue is 111 million pound, how are they able to pay 300 grand a week to 3 or 4 different players? How are they able to apparently get Asensio? How are they able to apparently get Sonny if he leaves Tottenham? How are they able to do all these things? Like if all of those things might be true, but it's still represented in a number at the end of the day, and they're on the public traded market. So you should be able to kind of dig into the audit of that, and it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up.
I refer you back to my opening answer, Sean. Hair transplants.
It is mad though, isn't it? Guys, a few cheeky little reports coming out this morning that apparently Man United are looking at Ollie Watkins of Aston Villa. Can they get Cunha and Buemo, Watkins, good front three to get them back in the top 5?
I hope
Who's that? Sorry, Cunha and Buemo and Watkins.
We're just saying, well, they've got Cunha. It looks like a Buemo. We don't know what's going on there, but possibly Ollie Watkins.
Watkins is prem proven. The only thing about Watkins is that he seems to need like 7 chances to put one away, but he'll get them with the Man United rebuild in that front line. You know? For me, the Man United is spending too much time on their front line, and they need a little bit of they need to work on their back a little bit. You know, it's like a guy who's needs a hair transplant, but he hasn't taken care of the fact that his back hair needs to be waxed because it's outrageous. And Onana and some of the players in that defensive line for me are just as much of a concern for United.
I'd go as far as say their midfield as well. It's too soft. I don't think Ugate's really proven it. Casemiro's legs are going. Bruno, because in the formation they play, they're playing a 2-man midfield, aren't they? Then Bruno's going to be one of them. So you're going to need a proper 6 who can marshal a midfield. That's a lot of responsibility on one player.
Paulinho would be perfect for them.
Paulinho would be a good one for them. I think they have been linked to him as well. But I think Bayern want about 30 mil for him. They're trying to recoup as much. I think they paid 55 for it. So I still think they've got weaknesses, and I'm still not convinced on the manager or on his formation. I think he had enough time to do at least something with it, and I think he's still under scrutiny for me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I agree with you. I just think that when I watched Man U last year, the one thing they did do was create a hell of a lot of chances and didn't have the forwards to put them in. But I agree with you. I think they need to do some more bits. But would you guys be surprised if Watkins was available, so to speak, if no one else came in for him? For me, it feels like he is Prem proven. He does score goals, and for a lot of the clubs in the Premier League, surely he would help with the homegrown quota situation.
Yeah, I think Arsenal would be a good destination for him because he's an Arsenal fan, isn't he? He was linked to them in January. I think Arsenal need 2 strikers. So once they decide which one they hate, which one they love between Sesko and Gyökeres, they should definitely bring in Watkins in as a backup. I wouldn't want Kai Havertz as my backup striker or Moreno converted from midfielder. And Watkins, being an Arsenal fan, I think most people know he would happily go there, even if he was second fiddle to a Gyökeres or whatever. Could Man U get Ollie Watkins? Yeah, probably. I still think Man U have pull. I think they've got that for another 3 to 4 years if they stay on their current trajectory. Eventually, it will fade. But at the moment, I still think they have pull. So I would say Arsenal would be an interesting one. If Arsenal was smart, they would get, for me, Gyökeres and then get Watkins as backup.
Wow. How are they going to get this? This is the problem, though, right? Like Man United, and not to make this about Tottenham. I know we're doing an all-round thing, but all Tottenham fans that complain about the fact that Tottenham don't pay the wages. If you pay the big wages and you end up getting absolute donuts, which is what Man United have done over the last 3 or 4 years, even the players that are not necessarily thought of being in the top end, like the massive problems at Man United, players like Xerxes, players like Højlund, they're still stubborn stains that you can't get out. You know, like when you pissed on the seat and you let it sit there for a little while, and you've really got to get the bleach out and go for it. I feel like that is that's a problem with some of these guys. Like they're going to be difficult to shift. And if you want to bring in a Gyökeres and you want to bring in an Ollie Watkins or whoever, cool. But you've got to get rid of Xerxes and Højlund, and they're not. How much do they pay for Højlund? 70 million quid.
Yeah.
I mean, what an absolute. I mean, who like approved that? Who co-signed that? And Xerxes, how much did they pay for that geezer?
I can't remember how much he was on. But let's not forget, Sean, they've still got Rashford that they're struggling to move. They've still got Garnacho that Amorim said he's done at the end of the season with.
Sancho.
You got Sancho, Anthony. All these are pulling in total probably about $1 million plus per week on wages.
Yeah,
they're going to be under no real stress. None
of them are going to like what to the point that Charlie was making. Like, you know, sometimes just accept the lower wage. I totally get on board it in terms of like short-term pain, long-term pain. But I also completely agree with you, Wolfie, that these guys are only around in the footballing world for a few years, 10, 12-year career. Make as much money as you can. And if you just signed a 4-year deal that's getting 300 grand a week plus, you're under no illusion and no obligation at all that you have to do the club that signed that contract a favour. Right? Exactly. So if you're not wanted, if Rashford, why should Rashford necessarily go, you know what, I'll leave and pick up 200 grand a week? No, I'll go out on loan again if I have to, and you're going to have to pick up 50% of the wages, and that doesn't solve any problems for United. So like go on.
And if you look at Sancho, he's got 1 year left on his contract. I can't remember how much he's on. I assume somewhere around 250, 300.
Yeah.
Now, if he was to leave now on a cut price wage, what's the benefit for him? His benefit right now would be stick out with Man U. All right, if they chuck him in the kids team or whatever, cool. He then leaves next summer on a free. He can still pick up wages that are closer to what he is now because there's no transfer fee attached to his transfer, and he's in a better position. Yeah. Manchester United are going to be really stuck with him because he hasn't got long left on his contract. So they're in trouble with those 4 players.
How much? Rashford's got 3 years left, hasn't he?
Yeah, Rashford's got a long way to go still. There's
such a headache.
And he's come out and said he only wants Barca. If he's
going to go, he wants to win titles. Sorry, bro. Like, have you not been looking at yourself in the mirror for the last couple of years, bro?
Yeah. You know, Mal is just anymore. Like, yeah,
you're not that guy
Rashford's the player I want on that other wing with me. But they do have these issues. But at some point, I think someone in the Man United hierarchy needs to turn around to Amorim and say, you know what, mate? You're meant to be a coach. Start coaching them. You've already. Do you know what I mean? At some point, managers have to take responsibility of the squad they have, and get to the point where stop just trying to get rid of players because you don't think they're good enough. Earn your salary. Start finding a way to utilize these players to get something out of them,
100%,
and coach the players that way. And that will save
mate.
That will save them the money, and that will save them the headache. But
otherwise, what is it that these managers are doing? We can all pick 11 players. We can all pick the best 11, right? Yeah. If you're not someone that finds, if you are literally a manager, right? If anyone's been a manager in any walk of life, any industry, your job isn't to go out and sell. Your job isn't going to go out and account manage. Your job is to get the best, to motivate, and to get the best version out of the people that are under your purview.
Exactly.
If you can't do that, and you think the solution is he's trouble, get rid of him, bring in someone else, and pay big money, and it's not me that's got to write the check, so I don't care. And if, by the way, it doesn't go right, then you're going to sack me and I'm going to get my payout anyway. I don't really know what these guys Same with Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham, like Savva. He had no interest in cultivating, motivating. Well, he motivated well in the moment, to be fair, but cultivating and getting and developing these players, and that should be the solution. If you're and for what last thing I'll say quickly, like he needs to wake up a little bit as well, Amarim, and figure out that if you're saying he's done, we don't want him here, and that has been made entirely clear to the media and to the press and come out. All that you are then doing is putting the leverage in the buyer's hands, right? Even if it's a seller's market, it's a buyer's market for Garnacho because you've come out and said, I don't want him here and I'm not making any. And what does that mean? It just makes it more and more or less and less likely that United are going to get anything like fair value for the player.
That's absolutely facts. If I was going to sell you, I don't know, my bottle here, I'm not going to tell you this is the worst bottle. It's got a leaky hole, mate. So, would you still want it? You clean it up, you polish it up and what have you. Even if it is
but you should. You should absolutely want it.
Exactly. And, the other issue he's got is that within those two players, if you look at Garnacho and you look at Rashford, at some point in their careers, in their recent careers, they've shown signs of being decent players. Remember the season when Rashford scored over 30 goals, I think, in Ten Hag's first one. Garnacho, the United fans 2 years ago were saying this is the next Messi coming through. There are signs of players. So coach them if you can't sell them, get them a tune out of them and figure out how to utilize them. Every player has something in them. His job is to unlock it.
100%.
Do you know what? I think it's interesting because when you look at people like Rashford, you're right. There's something there. You've seen it throughout his entire career. There is a footballer there. But is there too much water under the bridge, Wolfie? I agree with you. In essence, I agree. But is there too much water under the bridge with a Sancho, with a Rashford? Do they need to freshen it up? Would the fans sit back and watch another year where Sancho and Rashford are in a Man United front three as opposed to new? I guess that's the trade-off, right? With I think that's the difficulty they've got. I think there's too much water under that bridge for me.
But you got to remember, we as football fans are fickle, mate. Do you remember when what's his face at Arsenal, Granit Xhaka, when he did the whole throw the armband or the shirt at the fans, and they said, "Oh, he's all done at Arsenal," and then he went on and had a good season, and all was forgotten, and the fans loved him again. It's we will forgive players if they start scoring us goals and performing. And in terms of managers, I spoke to Frank Clark, who's one of my favorite managers of all time, and I asked him about Collymore, and he said to me that he would let things slide with Collymore because of how good a player he was. He said, in fact, the players as well would let things slide with Collymore because of how good a player he was, and there was this mutual understanding. If that's what it takes to get something out of Rashford, then for the betterment of the team and the club, they're going to have to make some kind of allowances. If all it takes is Rashford to feel a bit more, superior to the rest of the players, if he's going to return them 20 or 30 goals a season, will the fans care? Of course they won't. There's got to be a way to
egos, though, isn't it? Some managers can manage egos, others can't. That's exactly the problem. You've got to have that balance as a coach, haven't you? You've got to have that balance. And there are certain people down the years. I mean, look, Man United, obviously this is a different way above example, but look how they tolerated George Best's behaviour, right? Like, because George Best was one of the greatest players in the world. Look, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I'm guessing, is a very difficult man to manage throughout his career, but you know what you're going to get from Zlatan, right? I'm guessing there's many like that. I think the problem that I think Sean's spot on, the problem is Man United have thrown so much money at this that they're now just collecting so many on big wages. Now they will get buyers for Anthony. They will get buyers for Rashford and for Sancho and for Garnacho, but will those players that are on the massive wages, will they go, right, I'm on 350 grand a week at United. Oh, I've got a bid that's coming for me from Milan, who can only pay me 170. Am I going to go there? And I guess the answer for most of them is not. So what do? Do you just keep stockpiling? I don't know what the answer is for a club like Man United.
Yeah, I think it's different when you have a player who's recovered, say, from an injury. I'll give you a good example. Callum Hudson-Odoi, who was meant to be going to the Bundesliga for 70 to 75 million a couple of years ago, gets his injury, can't work his way back into the Chelsea team, has to then move to a Forest to find an opportunity and rebuild his career. That for me is different from a player moving because they've had to take a cut in wages. There's those players that have to rebuild their careers because of injuries and things like that. So I don't see these two scenarios as being similar. I think Sancho definitely rides out his contract, leaves on a free, because he then gets more opportunity to get the money without the transfer fee next year, because he's only got 1 year left. And I think Rashford is a bit of a prick, if I'm being honest. I mean, I don't like any of the Man U players.
How do you get rid of players like... see, Anthony cost 80 million quid, right? 80 plus. I know he's been largely amortized now down because I think he's most of the way through his contract.
Yeah.
But Betis can't afford his salary, can they?
They can't. That's what's stopping it.
No. See, they take him, wouldn't they, Sean? But they couldn't.
And he was good at. He was good for them as well. Like he was good all the way through the Conference League until the final. He had a shit show in the final, but that's probably his level, But Manchester United have this. I don't know this. I mean, they make 750 million, in revenue, so they're always going to have a cash cow there. But these things start to catch up with them, and I think that they've cop blocked themselves by this willingness to pay out, like to overspend themselves, And at the end of the day, when you're looking at other teams that seem to have the mechanisms to do, I know I came on the show because you sent me the link after I put that comment in about Charlie was saying the way Chelsea can afford all of their businesses by getting 100 million quid max out of the Club World Cup. Which is true to a degree. Like it's an unbelievable golden goose of a competition to be invited to participate in, but that can help them out with forward earnings, right? But in terms of the past, like that they've had to, the shenanigans and the tricks that they're pulling, I'm not sure why Manchester United aren't pulling the same sort of mechanism. So I don't know why they don't just sell their stadium to themselves. Why don't they just sell their women's team? That's the way that they can get themselves out of trouble. Maybe they just don't have the cash to actually go and do what Chelsea are doing after the fact,
Do you think that Man United were really, really gutted that Bruno Fernandes turned down Saudi?
100%. And that's why I think that when we were talking about the first question, like, where's the market at right now? Why isn't someone pulling the trigger on Gyökeres? I think until João Pedro came in, that deal that's just taken place, I think that's the first of the striker market that has kind of set a benchmark, because until now, that money that's been flowing around from Saudi Arabia, it hasn't really landed back into the Premier League this year. It's going elsewhere. It's going in other directions, but it still hasn't been anything like as big as it usually has been. I know there's a guy in the chat called Bader, I think, who thinks I've got a problem with Saudi Arabia. Of course I don't. It's just an observation of the mechanics of football.
I've seen his comments. Sean hates all football.
I know. Yeah, he thinks I hate Saudi Arabia. I've got anything can be further from the truth. But
I think people like that don't like it, Sean, that when you're having a football conversation, you not only do you want to have the conversation about the players and about the talent, about the actual football, you actually want to come at it from the economic side and go, well, okay.
Yeah, I love that side of the game. My sort of history, like my background, right, is I'm fascinated by the way that things work, and just calling it out for how I see it doesn't mean I have a problem with it necessarily, but and certainly not the actual country or the people from there. But the reality is that the money that usually flows, and like it's bi-directional with Saudi to the Premier League in the past. This summer, it hasn't been that way yet. And I think that Manchester United's belief that the Bruno deal was going to go through was what they parked and what they based a lot of their hopes and dreams on, being able to get themselves out of a pickle. But Bruno Fernandes, fair play to him, said, my family don't want to go out there right now.
Yeah.
And you got to be brave to turn down £700,000 a week, tax-free. It's madness. And as much as I think Bruno Fernandes is a complete prick of a footballer,
he is.
to have those sorts of, that kind of approach to his own family's desires or whatever, is gives you a little bit of more of a respect for the person, maybe not the player, but the person. Maybe.
Do you know what he is, Bruno? Bruno's one of them. I think when he plays for you, he's
you love him. Yeah.
I think when he plays against you, he's an annoying, moany, whingy.
It's the moaning, Savva. It's the moaning.
I know,
but there are a lot of United fans. They're split on him as well because of that moaning, because of the constant. He falls over and it's the world's fault. It's never his fault. And I get what you're saying, Sean, on Bruno, but I kind of disagree, because it took 2 weeks or so for the negotiations to happen, and then he took a few days to speak to his family. If I did that, my wife would probably chuck me out of the house. You know, why didn't you speak to me 2 weeks ago when you started this negotiation? You know, why did that family discussion come after
That's a fair point.
Everything was agreed? And in terms of were United waiting for it, I think yes and no. I think the hierarchy at United wanted the deal to go through, but Amorim, there was reports he was falling out over the whole Bruno thing because he was so desperate to keep him. So there was a bit of, you know, to-ing and fro-ing within United over it. But yeah. I hate that.
Yeah, look, I mean, we don't know the timeline, the chronological, the timeline of events with regards how that. All I'm saying is like, forget about the Fernandes part specifically. It's just I think that money that has been a part of the story into the Premier League and like bi-directional, but mainly one way for the last couple of years, doesn't seem to be quite as prevalent this summer at the moment. Still a long way to go. We'll see if it all picks up this week as the new financial year start for these teams, but. Thus far, I think it's been a little bit of a bottleneck on what everyone was sort of teeing up this transfer window as probably being the biggest in the Premier League history. You know, it was going to be £2 billion spent, and it might end up still being that. But the last couple of weeks has been it's been dry for stories. You know, lots of like talks are happening, but nothing really material.
I think the thing that's being overlooked with this transfer window is the lack of, I don't know if desperation is the right word, for clubs to have to sell. I would say out of the 17 Premier League clubs that have been there for a year or two, there's only Villa were under any PSR pressure and they sold their women's team. The rest of the clubs now, unless a player is forcing the move, unless the club feels they're getting overvalue for their money, they're under no real pressure to sell those players. If Newcastle had come in for Forest,
the jeopardy of relegation is largely evaporated from the Premier League, right?
Exactly. Because the gap is so big and people have figured out how to play PSR. So I think this whole Elanga Newcastle Forest thing is a prime example. Elanga's not pushing for a move. Forest don't need to sell. But if Newcastle come in with what Forest deem as over market value, then Forest will consider it. Yet 5-10 years ago in the Premier League, if something like that was happening, anywhere around market value, they'd snap their hands up because that's money coming in.
What in your opinion, what's the right price for Elanga?
I mean, it's like a house, isn't it? It's whatever you're willing to sell at and whatever someone's willing to pay out. I think the baseline at the moment for right wingers in the Premier League is 50 mil. I think with Elanga's GA from last season, what was it, 18 in total, 17, 18 GA, one of the highest ones in the Premier League. I think he had a better season than Semenyo. I think he's behind Mbeumo. So I would say
is he behind Johnson on that rationale?
We're going to do a Johnson debate.
No. I
haven't got time for a Brennan Johnson debate this morning, I'm afraid.
No time.
I would say, but I'm talking about the players that are potentially linked to moves. I would value him at 65 because Manchester United have a 20% sales clause on him as well, which Forest will have to take into consideration. That's something else that's on the table with it.
Wolfie, I'll make you right. We're now in a situation where everyone has pretty much figured out how to beat PSR, whatever other acronyms they've got for finances. Everyone's kind of worked out how to get around it. And this is why I always say to people, when people in my chat say, I wouldn't pay this for that player, I wouldn't pay this for that player. Sometimes you don't have a choice. You know, we berate our owners for not buying the players we want, but then we berate them for paying too much. And I think the problem you've got is, and let's use Kudus, for example. If Kudus is the guy that Spurs want, right, and West Ham go, okay, well, we'll sell him, but we don't need to sell him unless it's 65. West Ham turn around and go, give us 65 or fuck off.
I think West Ham do need to sell, though. West Ham.
No, I know. But I'm just using it as an example. If they didn't need to sell, they could turn around and go, give us 65 or you fuck off, right? It's very different. If a club needs to sell, now the selling club's got to be a bit more like, hang on, we want 65, but God, can we turn down 55? I'm not sure we can. And this is where I think football fans and clubs are very different. Football fans just go, we want that great player, but we only want to pay 40 for him. And the club's going, yeah, but there's a reason you want our player. And the biggest example of this, guys, was Harry Maguire. This is the biggest example of this was, oh my God, United paid 80 million. At the time, Leicester didn't have to sell.
Yeah.
Same with Fofana. They didn't have to sell. So all of the onus was on Chelsea and Man United as the buying clubs. How much do you want this player?
Is Alanga's also homegrown, isn't he?
Yep. Yeah, he came through United's academy.
It's not the English tax, but it's the homegrown tax on the.
Yeah, he's got the homegrown tax. It is fascinating, isn't it? It's like, I don't know, and I've had this discussion on my channel. Why do we care so much about what the club pays? And usually, Savva, you're right. It's about 5, maybe 10 million is the like threshold that fans have, isn't it? I wouldn't pay 65, but I'd pay 55. Okay, but you do realize that 10 million that you won't pay will get amortized over 5 years. So you're really scrimping over 2 million now over that 5-year period.
Yeah.
But it all adds
break
up,
it down to something like that. Well, 2 million ain't too bad. Then okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
and
but if you take that approach to every player, like I remember having these arguments with people a couple of years ago when they were like, "Oh, Daniel Levy's done it again. He's put the price of a pint of beer up at the stadium by 3p, and it was in line with inflation or something." And they were like, "Oh, come on now." And I was like, "What are we doing here? Like, if you it goes, it's going to make 2 million quid a year for our revenue." Yeah, but if you don't do it, you're losing that 2 million pound in inflation, and the tax man gets it anywhere when the price of beer goes up. If you take that same approach to everything in your business, where you're always eking away, edging away at your margins, then you're going to be bankrupt very soon. So like you can't necessarily just always look at every player in isolation and go, what's the difference? It's only 5 or 10 million. Because if you do that, if you take that same approach to everything, if you do 7 transfers or 5 transfers a summer, you're suddenly 50 million pound worse off.
Sean, can we liken that? And I've got to wrap up in 2 minutes. So I'm actually going over to join myself and George have got a show at 1 p.m. So I'm going to transfer everyone over to George's channel. But just quickly, when we apply that to fans' logic as well, Sean, you know, these same fans were the same fans that last year were going, "Oh, today's a free hit. Doesn't matter if Spurs lose today. Doesn't matter if Spurs lose today." We're tumbling down the table, losing £3.1 million per league position. So when I'm saying, well, does it matter if we beat Brighton on the last day of the season? Well, yeah, because if you finish 3 places higher, that's £10 million.
100%, mate. 100%.
Equally, the other aspect where I don't think fans look at is, again, I'll use Kudus just because it's in the news today. People going, "Oh, I pay 55, not 65. Sure, but if you bring in Kudus and he's the difference between 3 places in the league or not,
exactly,
then that 10 million pays for itself anyway. So I do feel like
that there, Savva, is how you value players that are 28 and over. There's this new trend in football. No one wants to pay big money for 28, 29, 30-year-olds. No sell on value. The way that you justify, if you're an owner or a manager trying to convince the owner to pay 35, 40 million for Polina, well, there's no sell on value. No, but the difference is he's in Tottenham's case, for example, he would be the difference of 15 points. And 15 points last season gets you from 17th to 10th.
Yeah,
9th, right, which is 25 million quid. It pays for itself.
I'll give you a very quick example. I was on Hussein's channel the other day, shout out to him. And he said he wouldn't go over 120 for Isak. That was like his cutoff, right? So this is after he said that with Isak, he basically guarantees Liverpool win the league and probably the Champions League. So I said to him, quite exactly. You know, Liverpool, once they get Isak, football's finished. So I said to him, okay, so if they said to you 150 guaranteed, you wouldn't do it. He's like, no. I was like, but you've just told me that over 30 million, this guy will guarantee you the league, the Champions League, etc., which is going to bring you in that prize money, which is going to bring you in the trophies. I don't get the logic. And it's like, when you break it down to that smallness, why have we all tried to become accountants over 20, 30 million that guarantees you league titles and what have you? So
you know what it is? I think some people genuinely are interested in the football finance mechanics. Other people are participating in it because they might not care about it, but it is content. It's part of the football dialogue these days. So they have to kind of engage in it, you know. But
guys, listen, there'll be other morning shows. Big up Mr. Pox Office, who has said benefits of a dribbler like Kudus helps create more room, paves way for a new phase in play, and helps create an overload, causes havoc for opposition defence. Listen, you don't have to sell him to me, Mr. Pox Office. Spurs need a winger like this. Our wingers are so dreadfully painful. Absolutely all over this. Big up to you, my man. Really appreciate that. Paul Pavley just decided to put in a super sticker, and we appreciate it, Paul. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And Jerome, who is also one of my mods, said, can I say, if Eze joins Arsenal, it's game over. Don't even bother watching the North London derby in November. because we will get destroyed. Before we talk about getting destroyed in North London derbies, Jerome, let's see what we do, and then we can have a meltdown on the 1st of September when the transfer window shuts.
Oh, we're going to have 19 meltdowns before then, Sav. Every day is another reason for a meltdown on the Tottenham fan base. I don't know, Wolfie. I'd love to get to know you, mate. I'd love to know whether Forest fans have as many meltdowns as Tottenham fans do. It's wild.
I caught half of them, but yeah.
But I have got to go, guys. Listen, I'm sending you over right now. I'm joining the show. It's myself and George from Do Rag Diaries. Please come over, say Savva Raid, smash the subscribe button, help out every YouTuber. Yeah, I think it's really important to get a wide range. Subscribe to the Spurs Talk Show. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV. If you don't know Wolfie, who am I kidding? You all know Wolfie. You all know his delusional takes. Get over there, subscribe, show the love. Thank you, guys. Take care. And I'll be back at 5 p.m. for a roundup transfer show. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.